Chasin the Racin. Powered by the Global Moto Group, we supply new Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, Vespa, Royal Enfield, Kawasaki, Sim, Mutt and Benelli motorcycles.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin the Racin.
And on this episode, we're joined and hosted by Joe Akroyd, and our main guest, our surprise superstar of this evening, is Sylvain Guintoli. How we doing, my man?
I'm alright, mate. Thank you very much for coming to see me.
Yeah, oh no, thank you very much. Looking forward to having more coffee. It's actually blown my face off. It's that bloody strong. Where's that stuff from? It's not the local corner shop. I know that much. It's strong stuff, that.
Yeah, that is quite good. But you need that, and you need that. For the endurance racing, you need to keep awake. So that's what I fuel myself with.
Oh, fantastic! But I'll tell you what, for the listeners who don't know who we are, so we do have a very small audience base that just actually listening for the crack element. So every time we introduce a guest, sometimes they're like, "Who is this?" Until we get later on in the interview. So. Take a nap there, Joe. This is going to take a while to read through your CV. I mean, it's going to take a bloody...
That's how old I am. So old.
Well, no, don't be daft. So it's in no particular order whatsoever. So we have a World Superbike champion, MotoGP rider, World Endurance champion, and we've got a MotoGP test rider, Superbike rider, YouTuber, BT Sport, commentator and presenter, Suzuki rider, and the list, I mean, we don't have time to sit here and rack all these off. It is...
You forgot the main one, Father of 6. I heard
it was 12.
The main one.
I thought it was 15, to be honest.
Hold on, this is a good point. There you are. So I'll tell you what, I don't know at what point you cut off this silly little question, but did you have a good time over Christmas? Because I think we're kind of in February land now with this, when it gets put out to the audience.
Yeah, it's busy always. The off season for us is not really off season. Yeah, really, really busy. So, but we just stayed in UK this year, just enjoying ourselves here. We went to a little trip to Lapland. That was nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Have you been?
Nah. Not posh enough to go to Lapland.
You could tell this is one of your first interviews. We're like, "Oh, lovely." You're like, "Have you ever been?" No.
Right.
No.
It's good. It was the first time. Really good. Yeah, nice place. Like magical reindeers and stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
right
cool.
then.
Yeah.
So do you normally go back to France, or where do you normally go? Anywhere and everywhere?
Depends. Most of the time we try and stay in the house here because I like to spend Christmas with the kids in our house.
Yeah.
And that's that. But and again we've been going on holiday or whatever. So yeah, a bit of Lapland this year. That was a good experience. Very Christmassy that. So yeah.
How long have you been in the UK?
Since 2003, so about 20 years. Yeah.
So we can adopt you, can't we? Because I have to say,
50-50. Yeah.
I've never been particularly excited about meeting a Frenchman before, but this is nice.
They're normally horrendous. They're very rude and just awful people.
And you brought this coffee out. Your wife let me have a wee in the toilet. It's just.
I fucking hate
thank you very much.
Yeah. Terrible. That's why I came here. Came to live here.
So half your life you've been in England.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I'm not drawing anything around your
No, that's good maths,
it's
actually. Yeah, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
So, very, very good, yeah. 20 years, yeah.
Because France is a beautiful country.
Can be. Yeah. Well, they got a good race in Le Mans.
Yeah.
They got some nice tracks. They got the Côte d'Azur. They got good food.
I can officially scratch out on my list here of tourism board for the French. You've literally just named all of France. Going, we have Le Mans.
Yeah. Well,
anything else in France?
That's it. Yeah. Good place to ski, haven't you? Good place to ski.
Yeah. Well, not at the moment, but
no, it's too
at the
warm,
moment,
it's
just grass. All the snow is gone now. So
good at bread.
Because of all of us, actually. Maybe.
Good. So. You're good at bread, aren't you?
Hey.
Good at making bread.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some baguette. We can find baguette in England though now. The co-op is good at it. Yeah, and they do good croissants.
As good as home.
Not as good as home, but it's not bad.
We're doing all right. All right.
Yeah.
It's good racing based conversation. This.
It really is. For a Chasin the Racin podcast. I don't know where we're going to go on this one, but it's a case of what enticed the move over initially then?
My wife, we met here in 2003, Donington.
Right.
And I was racing in Donington. At the time, I was racing 250s, 250 GP. And I crashed in the race. I hurt myself. And at that time, I was driving a little motorhome. I was driving with a mate of mine. And I couldn't, it was really an excuse. I said, I can't drive because I had a massive eyesight out of Melbourne Airpin and landed on my ass. And it was really sore. And I thought, I can't drive straight away. So we stayed there a few days because I met Caroline a couple of days before. And that was it, yeah. And then I ended up moving here 6 months later.
So that was what, 2002?
That was 2003.
2003. Your first year in GPs, that was 2002 or 2001? 2001.
Yeah, 2001, first year in 250. 2002, I was test ride on a 500 Yamaha, two-stroke, and then did one race that year, just as a wild card in Brno. And then 2003, 4, 5, 6 in 250 again. Yeah.
Going back to the beginning, how did you find yourself going into motorcycle racing?
My dad was like, and my granddad at the time. I never knew my granddad, but he was into bikes. And then my dad, he was passed on. It's like it's DNA.
Happens, yeah.
Yeah, so it was passed on to him. And when I was really young, both my parents were teachers, like for elementary school. So we had we were lucky. We had at the school playground was massive, and it was all like gravelly type of really good gravel, like fine. So at weekends we used to had a little bike that my dad built for me when I was like, I don't know, 6, 7, and we used to ride the bike all the time at the weekends when there was no school on, and then spend the Sunday night just making things all right for the Monday for when everybody goes back to school.
To go flat tracking in the school.
Yeah.
Did you ever get caught doing that? Or
yeah, everybody knew we were doing it, but because we've put it right, it's fine. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, you couldn't do that now.
No way.
At the time, it was like...
you start the bike up and someone's going to complain about noise, aren't they? Now?
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah, it was the middle of the village as well, so everybody would have been really probably pissed off about all this, but...
It worked out all right.
We're doing it anyway. Fuck
yeah.
him. Yeah, whatever.
So what was your dad's discipline then, if he was in the bike racing?
He wasn't. He raced. I did a few races in 50cc. Like they had like competitions in France, and that's how I started. Actually, I started with scooters, like scooter racing.
That's big in France, isn't it? It's big in Spain as well as the scooter job.
It started that year. The first year I did it, 94. I did a couple of races there because only 12, and so I could start because you had to be 12 at the time to start racing the 50cc's in France. So I started doing that, I did a couple of races, and then I did the full championship 95, and that was my first year racing. Yeah.
And then just natural progression through to 125s.
Yeah, I did a couple of years in scooters, then some branded races, like where everybody's got the same bike and stuff like that in France as well.
Like we've got the super teens over here, which...
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
For like sort of talent cup type of thing.
Yeah.
And then we ended up at the end of 99 where my dad couldn't afford it anymore. So we were going to stop. I remember having a discussion with him, like he was like, I think, mate, that's it. But at that time there was a structure in France, it was called L'équipe de France, so a French team, where they were selecting one lad every year. It was a 2-lad team and a role, 1 year after another. So they're selecting one every year, and I got invited to the selection. So I thought, well, I'll go there. I went and I won the selection. So that provided you with, it was great because it was 250 GP bike. So like great bikes, never ridden a 250 before. And you could do the whole European Championship and French Championship 250 all for free. So you had to, they were like the French Federation I'd put that together to try and get some French lads, onto the racing scene, and it worked. I mean, most of the riders ended up in endurance. Some of them did GP, like myself, but through that structure, a lot of riders went through. Vincent Philippe, that was very successful in endurance. Nigon, Hugo Marchand, Randy de Pugnet did a couple of races for them as well. Leblanc raced there. Julien Acosta. So all the riders basically that kind of like went on to race in World Championships had something to do with that structure. It was only a small structure, only 2 riders,
but a free ride.
It was feeding, and it was free. So for lads like me, I mean, GPs is expensive, like 1 to 5 GPs. It's mega expensive. The bike's expensive. They need a lot of looking after. You need people to look after them. The tires. You can't afford it unless you got family got money.
Well, now it's logistics as well, isn't it? It's not just the running cost of the weekend. How do you get that bike and that team around the world? It's
when we're running,
figures in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, when we were running the cups in France, these were like standard bikes, and you could buy it maybe for. I mean, it was francs at the time. It was before the euro, but that's how old I am. But
by the way,
it wasn't expensive.
By the way, is it?
It wasn't expensive. You could do it, and then my dad was looking after the bike. The tires would probably do half the season. And they would go on wet and dry and whatever. But once you go into like GP racing type of thing, it adds up really quickly.
Do they still have something like that in place now in France for the up and coming talent or not? That's not there.
Not like that. No. They have some structures like in place. They try and help the riders as well. They send some to race in Spain and help them financially, but they don't have this structure anymore. That was basically an old. They looked after you, and it was not just the racing. They looked after you like as well with training. They're giving you advice because when you're a bike racer and you're like 17, 18, you're
still going through the McDonald's drive-through, aren't you?
And you're genuinely a little wanker basically. You're just going and you're not training. You don't care. You just want to party.
We
and
don't
ride
realise the opportunity. It's not till you get to sort of mid to late 20s you think, I better pull my finger out here. Actually,
or it takes it takes like there was people there. The trainer, the coach at the time was called Hervé Moineau, so he was like a very experienced endurance rider.
Yeah.
You probably never heard of him. He's before us, or my dad generation basically, and he looked after us. So he was a really nice guy and giving us advice, on how not to go out every night till 5 a.m. and get drunk, because that doesn't work for racing too well.
Did you listen?
Not so much at the start. Nah, not too much. But I felt guilty, and then with the time, it got better and more serious. Yeah.
I was about to say, at what point did it actually switch over to you that you thought, I'm going to make a career of this, or like, when did you start taking it really serious?
Yeah, that year, that first year, I realized, I knew that, and also I went from like everything was going to stop to, you got a chance there, so you gotta make it work. So yeah, I was very like determined. As a young kid, I was a bit, I'm like that anyway now. I just I focus on things like very very much and get quite intense with things. So that's what I did, and it worked out because the year after, I only needed 1 year in that team, and the year after I was in GP.
So what was your dad's attitude like? We have a terminology on this show that you must have heard of, like motocross dad. What was your dad's attitude towards?
It was actually no. I know. I mean, like I know exactly what you mean.
I was like, we're peeling back the layers here.
No. It does exist this, and most of the dads of the kids are a pain in the ass because they just won't let go.
Yeah.
And they're hard to deal with for the team managers. That have got young lads, and it's not a secret. We all know that. My dad was actually very good with this because he completely stepped out. As in, like, he wouldn't even come to the races, which was kind of weird, but...
Did you want him there? Because I think as a lad, you always kind of want your dad's approval that...
Yeah, you do. But even when you grow up, you always...
Have I done it right, Dad? Have I done it? You do, don't you? Was that quite hard going into that structure of going into Grand Prix and your dad not being...
I don't know. I think at the time, I probably thought, it's a bit weird that he's not interested. Yeah. But he was interested, but it was his way of just, like...
Not interfering.
Yeah. Which was great.
I respect that, and you've got to be a little bit older again to kind of respect the mindset of that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because as a young lad, you would be going...
Hey, there's so many dads out there that just they can't help themselves. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because sometimes the kids could thrive better without them.
Yeah.
But it's a hard situation. I think it's difficult. It must be difficult for the dads, and it's difficult for the kids as well because they're so young nowadays as well. At that time, I was 17, 18. So you've got a bit more, you're a little bit more, you're almost an adult.
Switched on.
You're still a kid and you're immature and whatever, but you're still an adult. And nowadays, they're like 14, 15. So what do you do as a dad? You can't just let them go like around the world without you feel like you've got a duty of care as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So anyway, it's not an easy situation, but I understand what you mean.
And I must ask, on the other side of that coin, is your dear mother. So what was your mother's opinion on all this? And
she just basically she just had her head in the sand. She didn't want to know about it.
I could just see you and your dad going off to the school. Is you have extra lessons? Yeah, extra lessons. Yeah.
No, was the worst bit was when if I've ever hurt myself, that he was in trouble then.
I'm a dad. I've got 2 little girls. I've got one that's 6 months old.
He's got 15. You need to catch up.
Yeah, well, you'll have been through all of this. I got my little 4-year-old on those electric throttle bikes for Christmas.
Yeah.
And we went out on Boxing Day, and man alive, she had a massive crash. Looked over her right shoulder, never shut the throttle, hit the curb, over the bars, faces all cut open. That's the first time in my life I've gone, Now I get the reaction from my mum and dad. Now I understand their concerns because that was in a car park behind where we live.
Yeah.
Not setting off down Bray Hill or
Yeah.
at the other side of the world, smashing myself to pieces. You know, it's hard, isn't it, as a parent?
You've got to be a dad to understand that, though, don't you?
100%. I never understood it until that moment. That was the point. I was like, maybe I should ring me dad and just apologise. It's a few years I've put you through that. Yeah, it is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
But hey, going back to the Grand Prix thing. So like the 250, I love 250s. What was that like the first time you got on a 250 Grand Prix bike?
Yeah, it was great. It was so it was that year in 2000, and the first time I got on one actually was for that selection. So I had no choice than to wring the neck out of it.
Were they using Aprilias or Hondas?
No, it was Hondas. Yeah, Hondas.
So you went from
RS.
a 50cc.
No, I won first. So I started 50cc, and then I won 125.
Right.
I did the CG Cup. It was called. So it was like that bike was very slow. Then I had a 125 RS Aprilia. That was a cup as well.
Big step up there.
So that was a big step already.
Yeah.
That was quite good. I think that was like 15, 16 horsepower or something like that. And then at the back of that, I'm there because I was called for the selections, and then it was quite a long way from my house. It was like 500 Ks, and it was a long way. And obviously, I didn't have any driving license. And my dad was like, "Well, if you want to go there, you got to go on your own."
What a man!
So I was like, well, fair play to him. I think in a way, it was great.
He was forcing you to.
Yeah, so it was like if you want to go and if you want to race, you've got to go and get it.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, so fucking hell, I got to look at trains and things. And so I looked at a train, and it was a nightmare. You'd stay like 6 different trains, and I got there at night, and I hadn't booked a hotel or anything like that. And fortunately, at the train station, there were some other guys, so they kind of like sorted me out, and then they took me to the selection the next day. It was on my own there. I just,
everyone else is there with their dad.
Yeah, I had to borrow some ladders and everything. I had nothing with me.
Was there any
no
guys?
Helmet, no nothing. Like
I had nothing. Yeah,
so you just took the clothes you
to
were
be fair,
in.
I think they said they could provide. They had, with the team, they had like ladders and stuff like that.
Sylvain and his boxers. I'm here to ride, boy. I'm here to ride.
It was quite good. There was I think it was a couple of days, and then so you'd ride the bike, and it was in Pau-Arnaud, so it's a very difficult track in the southwest of France, and we had to like sport test, so they make us run and see how competitive you are. And then interviews and stuff like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Was there any other riders on that with you that we would know now?
At the time, the rider that was already on it, that's been on it for a year already, it was Julian Acosta. So he ended up doing quite a lot of years, and I think was he world champion in World Endurance? Probably.
Yeah, I think he did win a World Endurance Championship.
Yeah.
And then he's done a lot of test and development work, hasn't he?
Yeah, so it was him that was already, he'd been in the team for a year, and with me at the selection, there was, I can't remember who were there. I can't remember.
Just thought it'd have been funny if he said, "Yeah, Randy DePooney was there." But
no, Randy wasn't there because
we handed it him there.
He was already in GPs in 125 GP with Team Scrab, so it wasn't Randy.
Randy did that Playboy shoot, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that was
for Playboy
MotoGP.
Yeah. For some reason that sticks in my mind.
Yeah.
Well, Cecchinello always got big sort of one-off sponsors, didn't he? The bikes were always in Grand Prix. He'd always get like a big
and they normally he'd have like different sponsors for different races as well.
He'd sort of find one relevant to the race that they were going to.
Well, private teams, you
have to do.
Got to try and find everything. Fair play to him. Lucho's, since he became a team manager, started in 125 at the time. He was a great rider actually. But then moving up the categories and moving up with the team and the investment and the sponsors, he's done an absolutely fantastic job. Lucho, he is a hard-working man. He is.
Go on, sorry, Dom.
Oh, no, I was just about to say, even quickly going back to that. So, you've turned up, you've done a little bit of riding and stuff, but you were also talking about like interviewing. So was there like a scholarship program on that side of things? So like we doing like forceful, that sounds a bit dodgy, but we're like having to do interviews and pass that test as well.
They wanted to make a character assessment of you, didn't they? They wanted to know whether they could use you from marketing points of view, would they?
I think it's when you got like experienced racers looking after the selection, and you've got people that know what they're doing, you kind of want to be looking for a certain character.
Yeah.
You don't want, I don't know, there's things you don't want.
Yeah.
You don't want the lad that's got no motivation or that and I think you can feel that in a kid.
Yeah.
Like right now, I see some kids, arriving in GPs or in national championships, and you kind of like get an idea straight away. You can feel for them, and you can understand, if potentially they've got it in them or not.
Yeah.
I think it takes some
Or
it
whether
takes
there's
some
a dad
kind
in
of
the
character.
background. There's a dad in the background pushing the job forward, or whether they're there because they're hungry enough because they want it.
Yeah, because
you read it, don't you, quite quickly?
So in that respect, I think that selection was it was you know, they try and assess the kids not just with how they could ride, because some kids didn't have any experience, or some kids never ridden the bike before, or some kids had loads of experience. So it makes a big difference. So you gotta try and pick the guy, and he was only one a year. So yeah.
How many of you was there to do that out? So that one got selected out of how many? 15, 20?
Yeah, about 10.
Right.
That's quite it.
About 10.
When you think of the whole of France, and there's 10 at that selection unit, that's...
Yeah, but even now, think of UK. If you had to select somebody that's like 17, 18, I don't know. You know, 10 is already, you can pick quite a lot of kids there.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
So you did the 250, and then let's talk about, you know, at what point did you get the news? You know, what news was that about that selection process?
Yeah, it was. I think it was like a week later or something. They rang and they said you're selected. I was like, whoa, that's good. I was so happy.
I'm going to tell me mum.
Yeah, no, I was so happy, and it was like. Well, it was just before Christmas, so I was going to say it's like Christmas, but yeah.
It was for you.
It was like Christmas, and then, and like I said, it went from like completely stopping, not doing anything anymore, to become basically a professional, because this was like, you know, in the winter they took us to like training camps, and we did like Nordic skiing and all that shit, and it was proper serious. Yeah.
Do you think that was able to, you know, when I think about if you come from a different background of that, where you hadn't had that structure, do you think that was pivotal to your mindset going forward?
100%, yes.
Because as a lad, that if you hadn't had that, but your dad had said, let's keep going racing, so we'll have a do at the French National Championship, and let's see if we can get you into World Super Sport, or let's see if we can get you onto 125 Grand Prix bike. If you'd have carried on doing that, just trying to pick the people up as you go and doing it on your own, your mindset probably would never have, you'd have still been a wanker. Basically.
Probably. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But you almost need that structure,
or
don't
doing
you,
it halfway.
early on?
Yeah, what was it with that is like, it's like if you ride in a series and you're doing all right, you know, you kind of like surfing there, and I've done that before, and then suddenly you get an offer to ride a factory bike the year after, you know, like a proper winning bike. Then you're serious, because if you fuck up, it's down to you.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got all the cards in your hand, and if you don't make it happen, it's all down to you. So in a way, it's pressure, and it's pressure for young kids. But this is what we do. Like when you race your bike and you're on the starting grid and you've got to deliver, or when you've got to go out and deliver a qualifying lap, or you know, it's pressure. You got to handle it, and certain situation like that puts you under pressure. And this is where the guys that are eventually going to make into their living or make it professionally. This is where they just shine and they make it happen. So under pressure, you got people like crumble, and then at some point you need to turn the heat up, and this was definitely that. It was like a game changer. Yeah,
I always think Danny Pedrosa is like the prime example of that, isn't he? Everyone, you know, when he was racing at the height of it all, he's characterless, he's a miserable little bastard, this, that, and the other. No, he's just been brought into it very, very young, and he's had that structure and that discipline that he's so focused into.
Danny's his character. His character is a shy guy. Danny's a really, really nice guy. Like really friendly.
I've heard some stories.
He's great, and he's
stories,
funny.
but like funny stories about him that you wouldn't think about.
No, because he's shy, but he's shy, like as in like with the press, and you know, and he does, obviously when you're in GPs and when you've got the talent that he has and the expectation that it was on his shoulders, and you know, it's not easy, and his way was just to be like this. But he's a great guy. Yeah, just shy.
Do you know that first year that you went into Grand Prix? So I was just looking through like the entry list. And
oh no.
For me, like Robbie Rolfo, De Punier,
you're not going to.
Sebastian Porto.
I thought you were going to show the picture.
No. Locatelli.
Hold on, there's a picture.
Horrendous.
But the names that are in there, like
you're going to have to send us that photo. You know that, don't you? We're going to have to go on. Be a sport.
Horrendous. I look like my sister. Oh man, like an idiot. Honestly.
But those names, that first time when you lined up with them, what was that like?
Yeah, I didn't really care.
No.
No, because those guys were not known anyway. At the time, they were probably just all starting. Yeah, there was I can't even remember who won the championship that year. Or was it Daijiro that won it that year? Maybe Kato.
Yeah, we can find out.
Could have been. Yeah. Anyway, no, it was just like the GP thing was great because it's a great adventure. You go out and like I was like 18. And you get
straight in the GP. That's the thing. Did you always see GP as the only level, if that makes sense? It's a bit like I very much see it as like, you've got BSB, Worlds, MotoGP.
Yeah.
And by the sounds of it, you've just jumped from really in the deep end straight away due to this opportunity of the selection.
Yeah.
So, that is just beyond crazy listening to. So like you say, but going back to your mindset, it's like, I don't see anyone being at your level without that mindset of like, I am the best. Were you always had that mindset, or do you have that mindset?
Oh no, I don't. I never really had that mindset.
Oh, right.
Not really. No, I can get really like focused on what I want and quite obsessive with things and stuff like that. But I don't have I'm the best because I'm clearly not the best. I mean, I'm not bad at riding bikes, but there's much faster guys, and all through my career, I very rarely was the fastest. In my category, quite rarely, really. You have to be honest, and when you get older, you can reflect a bit. But I can be a bit obsessive and a bit with like perfectionist and stuff like that. And this, as a bike racer, that helps you.
I totally agree with that. It's a fact of like, what we're almost force-fed is like the sport mentality, isn't it? It's like, you have to believe you're the best, but that's a very honest answer, and I like that. The fact that you don't have to have a particular mindset to tick that box, to be champion. It's that obsessive attitude, which is, no.
Yeah, well, if you're not the most,
Joe.
if you're not the most talented, you have to recognize it, you have to know it, and you have to work harder, basically.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But you still have to have a sense of self-belief, don't you? You still have to think, I can go out there and stuff it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. While being humble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is obviously how you program yourself.
Yeah, you still you have. It's rare though. I've personally, I haven't had a lot of moments where I felt, I'm the strongest here, I'm going to get away with this.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
Not very often. No.
That surprises me.
No. The only time I had that feeling really, really strong was in Qatar when I won the title. That was like, I just knew it. I don't know why. I just for me, there was no
fair play.
There was no alternatives than winning, and I wouldn't have understand if somebody else had won, and that was very weird, very surreal. But I don't think like that. No.
That is impressive.
That
to listen to.
surprises me,
It is,
to be honest with you. It does surprise me, yeah, because I always think that we always strive to be better, don't we? But as a racer, that's like competitive nature, isn't it? We always want to be better. We want to be the fastest, and in the back of your head, you've got to be thinking, I'm going to fucking smoke them all. I'm just going to... Turn one, I'm going to drill them all, and then it never happens. You end up back somewhere, don't you?
Personally, I always concentrated on what I was doing. So, and the moments where I was like riding at my best, let's say, was when I wasn't thinking of the others and just thinking, like, basically thinking of putting the laps together. Like
just enjoying riding the bike.
Well, just riding the bike and riding it well, and getting the most out of it. And this is where, for me, then when it clicked, if I every time I focus on somebody else, because you do sometimes, like guys get in your head and you think, fucking, he's quick, and you try and do like him, or you think, you focus on somebody that you hate and you just like, I just want to fucking beat him as an arsehole. And for me, that don't work. I mean, it works for some people, getting angry and stuff like that, but for me, that never worked. No.
So, was it literally just that switch for you to go, just don't think about them? Was it that simple? Like, it's difficult. I completely agree. Every racer listening to that is agreeing with you, but switching that off on the day is so hard. It's like you're like, and trying to detune yourself to go faster. That is incredible. And like, you got any tips for anybody? Mainly me. You got any tips?
I think it depends on personality, I think
I'm stuck.
Some people thrive on hating the other riders, and they're better for it. Some people thrive because they concentrate on themselves, or some people if they start thinking of the others, they start crumbling, and you see that, you know, in a championship, even at the very, very highest level, like in MotoGP last year, we've seen it. You know, when they all have ups and downs, and you can tell their psychology is different from weekend to weekend, and they start looking at each other, and the championship is crunch time, and some of them react better than others, or somebody ends up winning. So, you know, somebody is going to be better in some situation like this. So yeah, it's the mental side of riding, of racing bikes, and in sport in general. I mean, you have to surf that wave and try and understand what fits your character. You know, it depends on the characters, I think.
Based on your mindset, are you a strong qualifier then? Because I always think that would make you a strong qualifier, the fact that you can remove everybody else from the track and just string a good lap together.
No, I haven't had really a lot of poles or anything like that.
Because like Tom Sykes was always the Tom because he could just put a lap together.
He's still very good.
Can,
on the one lap. I think it's more down to his riding style though. That
can just attack.
He can attack, and also his riding style. If he's got edge grip, which
confident.
You do get that with the qualifying tyres in World Superbike, you can make with his riding style, because he uses the front end and in the way he's using it, and the way he closes the corners, he needs edge grip. As soon as he loses edge grip, he starts to struggle. So when you give him edge grip, he's like very, very strong. Yeah.
Do you think the electronics play a part in that as well? Because we talked about this on the pod that we had before with Christian Idden. And Christian's gone to Ducati this year. And we were saying how Tom struggled this year in the British Championship, and you know, coming from a World Superbike all those years of the way those superbikes can be ridden with the electronics against how the British Championship with no rider aids.
Yeah, and also last time Tom was in British Superbike was probably there was electronics back then. Before,
correct.
So he probably never ridden a bike
with superbike with
no, and it's not easy. I mean, when I stepped back to British Superbike, the first time I stepped back was in 2009 with Crescent, but that was we had electronics back then. So, but then when I stepped back again in 2017 with Oak Racing, not far from here actually. There wasn't. So it was the single ECU, and it was very hard. I struggled. Yeah, it took me a long time. We had a new bike, and that's why the bike was the new GSXR. So it took us time to dial it in. But as a rider to ride the bike properly, it took me a long time. And I was still at the end of the year, I managed to win one in Assen, but I was still struggling. And then there's the British tracks, and it's a different for me. They're superbikes, but BSB and World Superbike is a very different category. You have to ride the bike very differently.
We were talking about the jump that like Bradley Ray's making into World Superbike, and Tara McKenzie's also going up into World Supersport, and we were saying, you know, what do we think of those changes and how the guys are going to get on? And you know, we all have different opinions. That's a beautiful thing about life. Everyone has a different take on things, don't they? I think it's going to be a big eye opener going on to those things, you know, but
it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah,
it's going to be very tough.
It's going to be hard because it is so different. And even, you know, I'm a massive fan of the Mackenzies, and Taron, I think, is ace. Going to a super sport bike from racing a British Superbike is just a completely different way of riding, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's a very, very different riding style and discipline. I'm sure he'll adapt to it well, and I think he'll be strong, but it's the characteristics of riding those two different styles, or those three, if you bring the 600s into it, you know, it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, and the tracks. I mean, even for Brad. I mean, Bradley Ray. He's a extremely talented rider. I was teammate with him actually at the 8 Hour Suzuka on the factory Suzuki a few years back, and I know, and we were teammates in BSB as well. Well, we're not exactly teammates, but we were on the same bike, and it was like a there was two separate team, but it was the same umbrella basically. Anyway, Brad is real strong, and for me it was no surprise that he won this year. I actually texted him last year in the winter when I knew I was speaking with Paul Curran, and he explained to me what they were doing, and they were getting on some good Yamahas and stuff. I said to him, and I sent a message to Brad. I said, "That's your year, mate. You 100% is going to happen," and it did. So I'm really happy for him. He did great, and and fully deserve it. But next year for him, it's going to be tough. He's on a B bike, B team, and out there.
Comment, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And he will struggle. It's going to be difficult for him. He's going to have to learn the tracks, but it mustn't doubt himself because he's an excellent rider.
So, putting it as a simple question, what makes a better rider then? If you had to put the championships back to back, so you've got no electronic aids, 2 electronics, in my opinion, riding a bike without electronic aids, you'd be a better rider. Do you agree with that or not?
No, it's different.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
I know it's a minefield of a question, but
no, it's not. It's not. It's quite easy to answer. Actually, you've got when you got the bikes with the electronics, let's say it's easier to be average because the electronics and the teams, especially if you got a good data engineer and somebody that knows how to set up the bike properly, it's going to level it up. So. Yeah. It will level it up, but the cream always rises. So the good riders, they're going to be able to use the electronics in a better way and make the most of it and use it to their advantage in a better way. And they're going to change their riding style to make the difference. And when you haven't got electronics, so it makes the bike. You just have to ride the bike differently. For example, in BSB, you have to brake a bit earlier. You can't. And this is what I know because that was one of my big problems with the BSB bike. I was just braking too deep everywhere, and I didn't even know I was doing it. And to anticipate, slow down a little bit more, carry more speed because you can't rely on the electronics, and you have to use that speed that you carry a little bit more like a 600 type of riding style. It takes some recalibrating and when you've been doing World Superbike for so many years and you used to brake deep and use the electronics to turn and request certain maps to your engineers to make your riding more efficient, to dial all that in, it's very difficult to adapt. So I'd say it's a lot more difficult though to go from World Superbike to BSB than the other way around.
Right.
Yeah.
Which one did you more enjoy? Which one was more enjoyable to ride? If you had to pick one of your bikes, BSB bike or your world bike?
Oh no, I much more enjoy riding the World Superbike bike because I was winning shit. Basically.
Easy. Just to go back, because we've jumped about 10 years in your career there.
I know, from 250s.
Go back to you did 4 years in Grand Prix or 3 years in Grand Prix, in the 250, sorry.
250, I did 2001, 2003, 4, 5, 6.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years. And then into the Dunlop Tech 3 team.
Yeah, 2007.
And that was the 800, wasn't it? That was when they'd knocked it back from the 1,000 to try and make it a little bit safer and a little bit slower. But they weren't, were they? They were nearly as fast.
Well, they were a little bit slower. Because I'd actually tried the 1,000 at the end of the year it was a private test. I brought my collarbone actually. He was in Paul Ricard going into Signes.
Which one's that? I never learned.
Signes is the fast one at the end of the straight.
Oh shit!
So I did the whole straight there with the 1,000 M1. Like flat
what
out.
What were you doing at the end of there? 215, 220?
I don't know. Can't remember. It's fast.
Well, on a stocker, we're going at like 201, 202.
But on the World Super on the World Endurance Factory bike, if we like last year we had a tailwind, didn't we?
Yeah.
So tailwind qualifying map, it was 245 on the GPS 5 speed, double slipstream there. Sorry, 345.
345. Yeah.
345.
Jesus.
Anyway, the M1000, I got in there and they had a Formula 1 test the day before, so it was full of rubber and we wetted the track because we were supposed to try the new Dunlop wet tyres, but it was full of rubber. And first lap, I got in, rolled the throttle off and...
Off the throttle?
Yeah, immediately because the rubber.
Bastard.
And then we tried the 800 that turned up quite late for they were late. The bikes were all late. Even Valentino's bike, all the factory team, everything was late. So we only had a few bikes there for Sepang for the test, the 800. The bike was just a little bit less grunty and they were a little bit slower, but not much.
Just to explain as well for you and the listeners, that crash, the corner that Sylvain's talking about is at the end of the back straight, and it's
1.8 kilometers.
Yeah. You sit there
1.1 mile long.
And it's the only time I've ever been on a short circuit that's comparable to the TT, where you get to 6th gear and you think, any
Bored.
minute now, this rod's just going to throw us through the front of the case.
And he normally does.
Well, I tell you what, I had the factory Kawasaki came past me with a certain brand of tyre on it, and the thing delaminated and exploded next to me. I shit myself. And he came right across in front of me, showered me in rubber, and then went straight on. Well, the both of us ran on white. But it is... You almost lose a sense of speed, don't you? At the end of that, it's so to jump off there.
It's
fast.
quick.
It's fast.
So what about the end of that straight? Is it like back 2 or is it just back 1 and
Back 3.
back 3? Oh, right. So it's quite a severe turn.
Well,
at the end.
you don't brake really, do you?
You brake a little bit. It's back 2 or back 3,
On a
depending
superbike,
on the gearing. And apex is about 180 km an hour, something like that. So 115. Yeah, 115.
But the runoff at the end of there is
awesome.
massive. Like it's just tarmac for
And it's tarmac for
Long,
F1,
long.
so it's tarmac with those like grated,
blue grip paint. And
that's it, grip paint.
Cool
But if
from
you-
an aerial
If
shot.
you crash, you're gonna get your leathers are gonna be well sanded.
Yeah, it's fast. It's fast there.
Oh, God.
Sorry, so then you
That's
went to the Sepang test.
Yeah, it's a
800.
punk test. 800. That was the first time with the 800, and I actually got punished that day. It was a 3-day test, and it was my first real test with the 800. And then on day 1, I crashed and wrecked the bike, and there was no parts. So I remember the Yamaha Japanese guys coming to the box and saying, "Mate, you can't crash too much because we haven't got any parts, even for the factory bikes." And then day 2, I crashed again. I was just learning, so and
Similar crashes.
front end, not really similar. I did one turn 1 and one turn 9, so no, not really. But yeah, some crashes. So then they came back and they were like, you know what, tomorrow you can stay at the swimming pool. So I did. I was punished.
Who was your teammate that year? Tamada.
Makoto Tamada.
Yeah, Tamada, yeah.
It was great, Makoto. Yeah, we're still good mates. I see him, and again, he's a team manager now in Japan.
Right.
So they have a team at the 8 Hours of Suzuki, and I think they do the All Japan Superbike as well.
Rivalry there between you and him?
Yeah, I mean,
God,
you do.
always
You know,
is
we're
with your
teammates,
teammate, yeah,
but we were
but-
good mates. So yeah, it was a good rivalry. Like fair. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Was that 1 year you did on that? Because
Yeah.
you went to Ducati the following year, didn't you?
Yeah, 1 year, then I went to Ducati Pramac the year after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alice.
That's it.
Elite. How's
Alice.
it? Is it Elite?
Yeah, Alice, yeah, Alice.
But it says, English people read it as Alice, don't they? Yeah. Was that a Grassini team?
No, that was Pramac.
Was that Pramac?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like throughout all of this, was jobs always getting offered for you? You know, like from, when you were crashing that bike at the Sepang test and you're like, go stay at the swimming pool. You know, but you're not shitting yourself going, oh no, or...
Well, you're always shitting yourself.
Of course you are. Yeah.
We're all on like, normally, I mean, you're on like 1 year deals.
Yeah.
I've been on 1 year deals since 2000. So, well, like 1 or 2, sometimes you get 2, if you've been a good boy and you're not asking too much money.
Do you know the point at
That's
which
it.
you were laid in the pool having to sit that one out? Was the contract signed, money in the bank? You knew you were safe?
Well, the contract was signed, for that year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 1 year deals, isn't it? So
Yeah.
that's what happens. And if you're shit or you don't perform, or same thing, you don't get offered anything.
I
and
remember
that's it.
that. I remember watching it as a I don't want to say as a kid. I don't know how old would I have been then. 17. 17. 16. Anyway, my maths is shit. But yeah, that was a hard year for you, wasn't it? Because they weren't the best bikes, were they? They weren't the best
Well,
bike
we
with the
were
best teams,
developing
and
the tires.
Yeah.
The good thing is with Makoto, we were like racing each other most of the time, so that was good. And in to be fair to Dunlop, I mean, we were the only team, so it was difficult to do development, and there was no like such thing as a development team either. So they were bringing new stuff, and we were trying it, and we didn't do so much testing either. So it was like
So you were having to test at the races
during the races,
which is hard. Yeah.
which was hard, and they did well. I mean, the tires got better and better. And to be fair, I remember in Valencia the last race, they were actually very good. We actually had a decent race. I think I qualified 5th or something like that. So the qualifying tires were very good.
Bloody hell.
And then I think it was 5th or 6th. I'll have to look because I hope I'm not lying and making a mistake.
There'll be someone who's brought it up going, he's full of shit. He remembers that.
Might have been even better than that. Anyway,
That's confidence.
good, it was a good qualifying.
Yeah.
And then the race was solid. I probably ended up in the top 10 or 10th or something like that.
Who else was sort of running in that pack with you then? You, Tamada? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, Tamada, the Pramac bikes as well. I remember
was on
seeing some
those?
Kawasaki's sometime as well.
Alex Hoffman, was he in it that year?
Maybe, or was it Anthony West?
Andy
maybe?
West. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we weren't seeing the top guys
No.
in the front. I had one race that was good because like mixed conditions, and I changed the tires at the right time, and that. So I almost got a podium.
Where was that?
Tony in Motegi.
Right.
Yeah, Tony. We had a battle with Tony Elias at the end, which I
yeah.
was good mate with, and then we were teammates as well in 08, the year after, and he just done me like at the end. I think with 1 lap to go, and I was third, and I was fucking gutted.
Is that one of those that's always nagged you? It's always.
It's still now. I'm talking about it. I'm angry. I like him. He's a nice lad, but I just want to strangle him
Well, the
right now.
bastard got you, yeah. Yeah, well,
What's been your favourite race? Has that been well, obviously, you're just
no,
full
it's
of
not his
anger,
fault. He
but-
wishes it never
No, that's my
happened.
worst race.
I know,
I
fair
hated it. I ended up fourth. Might as well be last. Do you know what I mean?
It sounds like your most memorable race for the wrong reasons. But
Yeah,
what-
it is one I remember.
Look how
but
pissed he is.
I know, I can feel it. I know. Like,
I'm wind up now. It's like coffee as well. Wow, that coffee's strong.
Good stuff, that. I'm hoping I don't need the toilet, to be honest with you. Christ.
So what's been your favourite racing? Even skip a few, you know.
Favorite race?
Yeah, your favourite race.
Oh,
Your most
100% the Qatar, like the final of the 2014 championship. Yeah, it was great. I mean, the setup was great. I love that track. The Aprilia was very good around there. At the time, I was still trailing Tom at the championship, so I had to win both races basically. So everything was on the line. It was like the pressure, everything was there to make it into a brilliant weekend. And I managed to win both races, and it was like absolutely brilliant. Yeah, loved it. I loved every minute of it. Yeah.
So what did you do after the Superbike win? What was the year after that?
I signed early on because Aprilia told me that it was stopping. So I signed early on in the summer to ride the Honda. So I took the number 1 to Honda, but the bike in 15 was no good.
That was the Pata Honda, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
That's
that.
it.
Yeah. That was when Honda started. They had a few tough years. After
Well,
that,
in
didn't they, really?
15, there was new rules in World Superbike where the engine became, basically you had to use more standard parts,
Right.
pistons, or I
Yeah.
can't remember the details. But anyway, the one of the strengths for the Honda before that, when Johnny was riding it, was that, it wasn't the best bike on the grid, far from it, but it was actually fast. Like the engine was good. So you could, kind of make, still salvage something.
Yeah.
But from 15, the engine was rubbish. So it was no good.
Who's your teammate that? Yeah. Was it Leon?
Mikey van Denmark.
Yeah.
Van Denmark, yeah.
Yeah.
So we ended up like 5th and 6th in the championship or something like that, but we couldn't really fight for podiums. It was hard.
Those Kawasaki's came in strong as well, didn't they, that year?
Yeah. Well, and Johnny.
Because that was Johnny's first
It
year.
was Johnny on the Kawasaki,
yeah.
still Tom on the Kawasaki. So
Yeah.
them two were like massive, rivals, and obviously Johnny was his chance to shine as well. So he was excellent.
And Alex Lowe's was he on the Yamaha?
He
Alex.
joined.
Alex was on the Yamaha from 2016 with me, the year after. So I changed then from Honda to Yamaha from 15 to 16, and then I was teammate with Alex in 16. Yeah.
I was just thinking, I always remember you riding that yellow Liberty Effenberg livery.
Yeah.
Ducati
It was
with
disgusting,
Jakov
wasn't it?
Schmerz. It was rancid.
I mean, the livery it looked like somebody puked on it.
Yeah.
It was horrendous.
It looked like if I gave my little girl a pen and paper and said, go on your crayons.
Yeah, go and do something.
Just draw us something on that. Yeah.
It was, I mean, when you look at it close, it was beer. It was like beer foam and a bit yellow with the beer because it was a beer. It was actually, the beer didn't really exist. So, anyway.
It didn't.
Well, it didn't, did it? You couldn't buy
Oh,
it.
you tell us.
You couldn't buy it.
You couldn't.
No.
It wasn't available in Aldi or Lidl.
He was buying good bikes and good technicians, but the beer existed only on the bikes.
The bikes.
That were not good looking, but the bikes were good. Good bikes. Yeah.
Because that was like Schmertz's one of his. That was sort of the coming to the tail end of his World Superbike career. That wasn't it.
Yeah, Jacob. Yeah, he was good. He had a good few races. To be fair, that bike was actually very good. It was a good private bike. So Schmerz was quick. We had a few podiums with that bike. I got my first victory in World Superbike with that bike in the wet in Assen, and a few good results. So it didn't last very long. It lasted a year and a bit. It started to go wrong in the second year, and then from half year was finished basically.
I didn't realise it had come to such a stop so quickly with that.
Yeah. I switched then because when they stopped paying everybody, and it was a bit of a mess.
Beer sales went down.
Yeah, yeah. The guy that owned it actually went to jail not long after that.
Oh, really?
I wonder what for.
So that doesn't help to run the team. But anyway, he's out now. He stayed in jail for quite a while. Anyway, he
I don't think...
It sounds like a hotel.
It's all right. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So
You brought all that information up. It's nothing to do with us.
But I'm fine with it. I'll own that. At that point in Brno, I remember I thought, no, we can't do this anymore. So we start working with them, and fortunately at that time it was Pata. That at the time was financing a private team with just one bike with Lorenzo Zanetti. He was called.
Yeah.
He still races actually in Italy and in endurance a bit. He's quick rider. So they were with them with just the one bike, and I knew Remo Gobi, the boss of Pata, and Daniele Carli that was running DFX team. I don't know if you remember all that. Anyway, and I went to talk to them, and they were like, "Oh, we'll build a bike for you. We've got a spare chassis in the lorry, and we'll find a spare engine or whatever, and you can finish the season with us." So I was like, "Right, yeah, let's fucking do it." So it was a bit early for Brno because it was like next day, and I thought, nah, it's a bit too rushed. So we decided to not do that one, but the next race was Silverstone, so they built that bike out of all the old parts that they had in the spare shit in the trailer, and we turned up in Silverstone, and I won a race.
Really?
Just like that. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Wow.
In the wet, but
Well, it doesn't matter. A win's a win, isn't it? A win's a win.
Won the race, and then we went to Portimao. Had another podium there. Then we went to Manicuro, and I won another race and in the wet, and did a podium in the dry with the bike that was like basically just
out the spare
shit
box.
that was
I
in the
know
boxes.
it wasn't share, but it was like
What was laying about though to build a bike? Yeah.
So they put it all together, and this is how racing goes. Sometimes you can be like, and I think it was them. They were super motivated. They've been in that championship for a long time. They never won anything, and then they saw a chance there. They thought, fuck yeah, these guys won something like this year, so let's try and
But you must have felt
incredible.
that.
and I was pissed off because of that team. That team really pissed me off, and they did some press release. They disrespected me and stuff like that when I won races for them. So as a rider, I really, really was annoyed. So I got on that bike and I just didn't give a shit.
Good man.
And it worked.
Really worked.
You must have been relaxed with them as well, though. There must have been like a good bunch of people to be around as well.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about this racing. It's all mindset, isn't it? It's all in your head. It's all about how a happy race is a fast racer, isn't it?
Yeah, normally. And when you put a lot of people together like that, and in a different scale, for example, the Suzuki MotoGP team that's what it was. A lot of people happy all together and making it work against the giants of MotoGP.
It is mad to think that you're referring to like Suzuki as a small team. It's incredible when you think you take
it's
that
a small
step
team
up.
in MotoGP.
It is. That's what I mean.
But it was anyway.
But they make it sound like dad and a lad going rate. It's incredible when you take that step up. How you've referenced to that.
Well, at the end of the day, it's we're racing bikes.
Yeah.
It's just a bike that goes around in circle as fast as possible. So you then have different levels, obviously, of organizations and teams and investments and technology or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's bike racing. The lads that that raced the MotoGP bikes, they a few years back they were just riding in private teams and trying to make it work. So that's what it is.
How different was it at the end of 08 was your last year in MotoGP?
Yeah.
Is that right? How different was it getting off that Ducati to going to World Superbike?
Well, I went to DSB first.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I went to
Isn't
DSB.
that where Josh Brooks torpedoed you?
Yeah, and I had a really bad leg injury. Yeah,
fucking horrendous.
You broke your femur, didn't you?
No, it was a tib and fib.
Tib and fib.
Yeah, it was quite a bad break that, so I got unfortunate there. But
did you have a word with him about that?
well, we were actually teammates a few years after. Quite a few years after in 8-hour Suzuka with the Yoshimura bike. So we were teammates and we talked about it then. It's what happened. I was really angry at the time, but
yeah, well, you can understand, can't you? It's written a year off.
Yeah, a bit more because the break was really bad and it almost ended me basically.
Really?
Yeah, it was really bad. It was bad because he was like, it was compound and there was fragments everywhere and there was some missing and it was a fucking nightmare.
So did you have to regrow part of it?
Yeah. And then I had to do like quite a few surgeries to get the step by step all the stuff out, and then I had problems with they put a bar inside the bone, to fix this, and then they put screws at the top and at the bottom to recover the length.
Yeah.
But then...
So you didn't have a cage on it then?
No, I was lucky. I didn't have to have the cage. Well,
Because
initially
a lot
it was
of the
like...
times when they have to regrow, they do that, don't they? They put the cage on and they stretch.
I think they put some of the bone back, and it kind of like it took on. So I was lucky. I was lucky with that. But it was that was a really bad injury. But no, to answer your question, so that happened. I remember I was in Motegi in a hotel. There's one hotel at the track, and all the paddock stays there. Well, team managers and riders, and donor staff. And we were there, and obviously I knew the Pramac ride was finished, so I was looking for something, and I thought I'd spent 2 years not being able to perform or win anything, or so I really wanted a challenge. I needed like some change.
You were happy to step away from MotoGP at this point.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
It wasn't
Massive box ticked.
Just wasn't really happy there anyway. Because at the end of the day, as a rider, and you want to be competitive, you want to try and win some stuff, and So anyway, I was going down in the corridor, and then Paul Dunning was there, and we crossed paths, and hi Paul, how are you doing? And we started talking about stuff, and Paul was like, oh, you don't fancy BSB next year, do you? I was like, yeah, fuck it, yeah, I do. So why not?
Simple.
And then we sat down, and in about 5 minutes we agreed terms, and that was it.
Mad.
Yeah, done.
That's it. I always, rightly or wrongly so, describe our British Championship as the most competitive domestic championship in the world. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. It's a great championship. I mean, it's brilliant.
Because the lads that step back from World Superbike, they don't really look at going, with the exception of someone like Petrucci, they don't really look at going to the States. They don't look at doing a Spanish championship. If they finish or they're stepping away from World Superbikes, they tend to find themselves here, don't they?
But
is there a reason behind that?
There would be more. A lot of riders are actually concerned about coming to race here. I was. Because it's hard, and you're going to get your ass kicked.
So you agree that we do probably have the fastest. When I say domestic championship in the world, I don't mean as a
great championship. Yeah. And it's the density is like top 15 is fast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're a little bit off, you're nowhere.
You're a long way off.
And there's the tracks. The tracks are not easy. So most of the lads that race in BSB, they've grown on those tracks, and they've got a lot of track experience, and so that's very difficult to compensate for. And you've got the specific rules to the category that you need to adapt. Like I said, the electronics, because of the electronics, you need to ride the bike differently, and then because of no electronics or very little, the bikes are difficult to ride, and also because on those tracks, I mean, we've no anti-wheelie, no traction control, and very little tools, to control the power. When you go in Alton Park or Cadwell, fuck me.
Well, I was just about to say, when you were sat signing that with, you'd agreed your things with Paul Denning, were you then thinking?
That year, though, we had electronics in 2009. We were running it.
But were you still thinking, shit, I'm going to have to do the mountain at Cadwell?
No, actually, I didn't have a clue, because I lived in England, but I'd never really been on the tracks in England.
I was about to say, which tracks would you have done at that point?
I didn't do any. I did Donington, and that was it. And also...
and Silverstone, you knew your way around Silverstone?
No, I don't think so.
Had you not done
that wasn't part of the MotoGP?
That was before.
Oh, right.
Before,
of course it was.
We were Donington, I think. I definitely rode Donington. Yeah, no, it was Donington.
Yeah.
I rode Donington with the Yamaha and the Ducati. So, no, I didn't really know the track. I didn't have a clue. I just thought, that's convenient. I live in England anyway, and I need some different challenge. I knew BSB was a high profile. I knew there was a parallel as well with Suzuki, because running the Suzuki in BSB, then there was the All-Star team in World Superbike, which I ended up going to. Then
yes,
the year
of course
after.
it did. Yeah.
So I knew that. So it was like, there was kind of like it was a good opportunity to go and enjoy myself and race and win stuff, which I did at the first race before I got T-boned. And then there was some, potentially, if I was doing well, there was some carrot at the end, to move back up to World Superbike, for example. Which happened.
But obviously you're a little bit not upset, but you were you lost a little bit of love for MotoGP. So at that point, the dangling carrot was for you to go back to Worlds. after the
Yeah,
BSB,
there was no room in World Superbike, and I almost went to the Yamaha team. I had a test with the factory Yamaha team in Vallelunga, which went very well. But in the end, I think it's Tom Sykes they signed. They signed Tom coming up from BSB. That was his way into World Superbike in 2009.
Right.
So there was no room then. They decided to sign him, and so I went back to, and that's probably what freed because Tom would have been at Crescent, so that's freed the space, like musical chairs. Yeah. So I ended up here, but I was quite happy to do that. I was looking forward to the challenge. The problem is, as a bike racer, you want to get to MotoGP, you want to do all these things, and if you can, it's great, but it's hard, and probably for MotoGP, my style wasn't, and I didn't know that at the time, but my style wasn't great and it's still not great for the GP bikes. My style is better for the superbikes. So when I first tried that Yamaha in Vallelunga, I felt so good on it. I thought, fuck me, this is much better. I was like competitive, with the lap times and stuff. And when I first tried the Suzuki, straight away, he was in Brown's Indy, the first race, if I remember well. I did the pole, won one race. I mean, it was like straight away, I was just so natural on it. It was better for me. Yeah.
And that's without even going to Brands Hatch. You've never ridden around Brands Hatch at this stage.
No, I never ridden.
Just comfy.
Yeah, I was trying to learn the tracks. I remember I asked Suzuki GB to lend me like a car to go and learn the tracks in the winter. So what could go wrong?
Yeah. Just roll.
Well, they give you a Suzuki Swift.
Yeah. The sport one.
Oh.
So the sport one, and then they also sent me an email saying, by the way, the car is not insured for you to go on track with. So I was like, well, fuck that, I'll do it anyway, because I needed to go and learn the tracks. Because I mean, you don't want to go in with Superbike in Cadwell or Alton without being at least have a little bit of an idea of what's going on, because it's scary.
Yeah. Well, if it goes wrong there, you're into the...
You're fucked.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a but coming up. But did anything happen to this Suzuki Swift?
Did they get back a Suzuki Swift Sport?
You can tell he still works for Suzuki. No.
I feel a bit sorry for because they sell the cars at the end of the year, don't they?
Wishbone's bent and weird.
I didn't crash it or anything, but it was
hammered.
He had a bit of a workout. Yeah.
All the rubber around the inside of the arches, yeah. Trackings like that.
I bet you're hopping on a bike after that. Coming from Suzuki Swift to that was like, Jesus, this is a bit quicker.
To be fair, the Swift was not bad. I think it was about 130 horsepower, and the chassis was really good. I mean, good fun on the track. It was great.
They rallied him, didn't they? They raced him as a rally car. Suzuki
they?
Swift, yeah, they raced him as rally cars, yeah.
Because we actually we stole your number off Steve Brogan, who, big shout out to Brogy, but he was saying you're actually quite the car man.
Yeah.
You're like, so was that ever an avenue for you? Did you want to try and get into that world?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've been over the years, I've had a few experiences. Obviously, my life is bikes and this is what I do, but I enjoy speed, so, 4 wheels it's different, but I enjoy it as well. So I've done a few races and stuff like that. And there's one thing in the back of my mind is like I said it before, I get a bit obsessed with things, with stuff. And now I've done the endurance. I've done Le Mans 24 hours twice, so 21 and 22 on the bikes. And that race is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like the best experience you can have on a bike, but it's also the worst. If that makes sense. I think you have to do it to understand that race. It's just horrendous, but it's so rewarding, it's so bad. And I was talking to my wife, I was saying it's a bit like giving birth. It's like it's a horrendous experience, but then you want to do it again. Do you know what I mean? It's
never wanted to be involved in that ever again.
Well, she was saying that
I've
anyway.
done it twice. I'm never going there again.
She was saying that. But anyway, that race, I'm a bit obsessed with it, and I was looking at it the other day. Well, last year, and I've looked at it and checked it out, and there's nobody ever has won it with bikes and cars ever. And I was thinking, well, fuck man, I've done the bike leg now,
GT car.
So why not doing it with cars? And that'd be so cool to be the first person to do it. I mean, it's a long shot and there's a lot of work to be done, and but why not?
Is it something that you want that you think you can make happen?
Yeah.
I hope you can. That'd be mega. That'd be amazing.
I'd love to have a pop.
Yeah.
And obviously, you'd have to train, and you can't become good at like a professional at driving cars unless you put a lot of work in. But I think as a bike rider, you kind of like, you can get not too far
quite
quite quickly.
okay. Yeah.
Then after I would think it'd be a lot of hard work, but you got simulators now.
Yeah.
You got there's a lot.
But also then for endurance, you don't need to be
The guys in endurance are
in the cars.
Yeah, they're fast.
Are
The
they?
guys that yeah.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do that they can be that fast, but if they put the thing into the wall at the end of...
Yeah, but they're professional drivers, so like if
You'd want to go and try and...
you
would want to go and try and win.
You need to work at
those
it,
lads.
You need to work at it, yeah. But nothing is impossible if you put the work in. Why not? So anyway, that's one of my dream. So we'll see.
Get it done.
Yeah, we hope to see
Well,
that.
we're going to interview you this time next year, and if you haven't done that by then, there'll be hell
I
on
don't
the
know,
time.
it won't happen before next year, that's for sure. It's a long way, and cars is just like a different,
Would I know you're saying there's a lot of training element and everything like that, but me never racing a car in my life, theoretically doing an endurance race sat down in a car would be easier in my mind. Prove me wrong. Would it be just as hard, or do you think the bike's harder?
I think it would be. I presume I've not done it, so I don't know. But I presume it'd be a bit different. You in the car, you get hot. You get very hot. So when you do the long stints and stuff like that, and the double or triple stints as well, which we don't in bikes unless we have to, you would get very dehydrated, and it would be hard, like physically. And obviously you can't. Well, probably in cars you could sleep a bit more because they triple stint and stuff like that, so you can have a bit more rest.
Right.
With the bikes, it's relentless.
So, pardon me ignorance. A stint. How long is a stint then?
Well, on a bike, it's roughly, in Le Mans, it's 1 hour. And then it depends on the track. Like Boldor, for example, Castellet, because of that massive straights that we were talking about, the consumption is higher. So it's more like 52 minutes, I think.
On a bike?
Yeah.
52 minutes. And you're saying in a car, you're doing 3 of those 52 minutes.
Yeah,
and
you could do...
That is incredible.
Yeah, they'll be in it for the thick end of 3 hours, won't they?
Just rounding
3
it
hours,
off,
yes.
like you say, 3 hours doing that. Like you say, that's a lot of heat, a lot of concentration, a lot of dehydration, isn't it? So,
but as you say, if there's 3 of you in a team and your 2 teammates do you get
6
hour
hours
and a back-to-back, and then you get 6 hours sleep, don't
So
you?
you can have a few hours of sleep, like proper, as in with the bikes, you can't get the sleep because it's... So let's say Le Mans 24 hours, you're 1 hour in, 2 hours off. But those 2 hours off, they don't feel like 2 hours. They feel more like 45 minutes because you got to debrief quick, maybe have a word with the TV guys, and then you're going to get changed because you're soaked and, you need to get warm. So a quick shower, you rehydrate, try and eat something, go and see the physio. And by that time, because you're going to get changed quite a bit before.
We always had it so you were ready before your stint, so that if the guy before you had to come in, you were ready to go.
Oh wow, that's really in advance.
So, yeah, we were always, that's how we always tried to structure it, that we would have a stint where we would do all of that.
Yeah.
And then as soon as...
Then get changed.
And then we'd get dressed back into our stuff so that we're 45, 50 minutes waiting, but you're ready to go.
Yeah, we don't do it that
Your
long.
structure would be a little bit
better
because of the support
but still,
that you've got there and
the
everything.
time that you get in the middle,
it's not.
It's not. You feel like, and you definitely can't sleep. And if you do, well, I've tried it, and you just feel horrendous. It's terrible. If you sleep like half an hour, you get all the cortisol, and you're grumpy. You can't do that. Yeah.
Some of the teams will try and back-to-back 2 riders, aren't they, to give... did you guys ever... You never did a back-to-back with...
No, we don't normally do that because just to try and save ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we, like, in those races, most of the time you just have to race as hard as you can. I mean, that's how it is now. Endurance racing is 24 hours, but you don't race endurance. We race like a sprint race until somebody cracks or somebody makes a mistake or somebody breaks down, and then when you got comfortable lead, then you can. So you basically put everybody, you try and put everybody under pressure for as long as possible, and you ride as hard as you can for as long as possible until there is damage, and then hopefully it's not you the damage, and you can then control a bit. But that's the strategy now. That's how it works.
I remember talking about the, my first experience with World Endurance. You think, well, this is endurance racing. The guys are going to be, there's you and Greg Black, and you had Javier Simeon, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, fucking hell, yeah, but they must have just knocked it back like 5% for 24 hours. And then you go out and you just think, Oh my God.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't, because if you do, then you start giving something to the others and make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And then you start maybe not making the pass when you need to, because a lot of endurance as well is about passing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you overtake like 10 guys in one lap. So if you start hesitating or be a bit like, oh, I'm not taking any risk, you're gonna lose like very quickly 2 seconds a lap, which you can't afford to do.
I was about to say, like, the time difference, like, you know, like on a lap speed, let's base it on a 52-second lap, you know, so it depends on your passing manoeuvres. So how much does that fluctuate? Like, is it like, could you lose 4 seconds in one lap? Or
No.
Is it literally within a window of...
No, because these boys absolutely drill everybody.
but
it's on
like
the soccer because they have to.
That's what I mean. So what is an acceptable fluctuation
If you
in
get
that?
unlucky, sometimes about luck. Like, it depends where, because there's sometimes you'll get somebody that will be in the middle of a chicane, or I don't know, somewhere where you just can't do anything about it.
Yes.
And in that situation, you have to accept to take the time loss. But if you get unlucky on a lap and you get a couple of people in the middle or something like that, you're going to lose like maybe a second and a half. You can't afford to lose much more than that. I mean, if I would see a lap that is 2 seconds slower than my rhythm, you'd be pissed off and wanted to make it back immediately. Well, not immediately, but you can't let yourself go. You can't.
Incredible.
You can't be okay with that. You need to keep drilling.
So to win, like, you won the championship twice. Have you won the endurance championship?
No, last year we ended up second. Yeah.
Second. So you're in the podium.
That was unfortunate, that wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we had 2 mechanical, so one in Spa, 24 hours, broke the gearbox, and then we had the engine in Boulder.
Yeah.
So to do 52-minute stints, for example, like 52 minutes alone, you're not fluctuating out of 2 seconds is bad. So within a second, that is incredible. So people listen to this over 24. How many stints do you do in a 24-hour?
8 each.
8 each.
Yeah, so you normally share it 8 or a bit more. It depends on the track again. Like in Le Mans, you do 8 each normally because you can go the hour. It's all about the fuel consumption. We're limited to 24 liters in the tank, and the teams try and make it last as long as possible, because obviously the longer you can go with your relay, the less speed stop you have to make, and this is where you lose a lot of time. For us, the tires are not a problem because we use the Bridgestone. They're just so good for endurance at the moment. So you try and go
Bridgestone, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically your tires just as good at the end than they are at the start. They just stay so constant.
How often were you doing a tyre change on the rears?
Oh, both front and rear every time. Yeah, everything. Well, unless conditions are changing or whatever. But in normal, say if it was all dry, front and rear all the time.
Stop,
yeah, because it's so fast.
Yeah, it's dead impressive. Watching them do them front wheels. Just
they do both tires 2.5 seconds.
It's outstanding, isn't it?
So
imagine trying to do that in your garage at home with a.
Oh mate, mine is 25 minutes to do that.
But like you say, like a TT pit stop, a really fast one's like 40 seconds.
Yeah,
that is.
No, they do.
You can sit, get off, have a cigarette, read the paper, and
coffee. They do. So they do. As we come in, they scoop us up like on the stands. Rear and front in the same time, but while you're still on the bike. And then you get off that. They do the tires in 2.5 seconds, and then the long bit is the tank, because they're not allowed pressurized systems. So it's all like with air pressure.
So it has to glug, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they're not allowed to do it as mechanics are doing interventions on the bike. So nobody can touch the bike when he's doing the fuel. So the guy is like, they do the tires first. You got the machines and tires go in and out, and it's like an F1 pit stop basically. And then you've got the tank man is on top, ready to, and then they shout, and then the thing goes in, and that takes about 10 seconds. So overall, it's about 12.5, 13 seconds. Yeah.
And the rider can't touch the bike at that point, so you can have your hand next
That's
to the
why we're like that. We're like that, ready to go. One hand near the clutch, one hand near the starter,
and you flip
ready
the
to
cap
go.
shut, don't you? And away you go.
That's it.
That is
Did I see you before the night stints? You sit like that.
Oh yeah, I do that. Yeah,
because I did that.
Yeah,
and then it always surprised me. You look around, there's other teams. The guys are all walking about, looking at the lights. It's like fucking hell. It just takes a bit of adjusting.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do in night racing for endurance is look over your shoulder.
Well, the pit boxes as well. They're very bright. Like a bit like here.
Yeah.
So say if you do that, and then you go outside, and if outside was dark, you wouldn't see anything, because you're
So you almost want
your
to try
pupils are like real close.
prepare your eyes for the dark.
If you hide yourself from the light as much as possible, you can see better.
Yeah.
Here's a question. So were you doing endurance racing as well as in 2014 when you won the championship?
Yeah.
Were you doing endurance racing at the same time for a pro?
No.
So my question to you is, to win an endurance championship, do you have to be fully dedicated to that, or can you do both?
What do you mean?
Can you do world championship?
And the
endurance to win an endurance?
I suppose you could do both, but normally riders, for the teams that are in contention to win something, you'd rather focus on something.
Yeah.
Also, it's rare to have a team that is in both. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think it exists actually.
Because
Logic dip their toe in both, don't they? But not as a.
we see the odd wild card, don't we? Jonathan Ray just
For the Suzuki tower.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so they're specialist events rather
Yeah.
than doing the full thing.
No, it's just for Suzuki. Suzuki, the manufacturers, so Kawasaki, Honda,
Right.
Yamaha, they drag some of their riders. So sometimes it was MotoGP riders that were dragged. There was a Paul Espargaro, Bradley Smith.
Done a couple of times.
Yeah, they've won it on the factory Yamaha. There was a single entry for that race, like a factory bike. And Kawasaki does it with Johnny and Alex.
Alex does it, yeah.
Lowe's.
What year was the first year you did Suzuki?
First year for me was 2017.
Was that your first time endurance racing then?
No, I'd raced endurance in 2010.
Right.
That's quite late, really. Because have you always been drawn to endurance? Because it's a very dominant sport in France.
He's a Frenchman. It's in him.
That's what I was just about to say.
in the
It's a very
DNA.
but that's it. Was it
But
always?
it's late. But I always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
There was one opportunity. So at the end of 2010, so I was riding for Alstare in World Superbike, and the team manager, Dominique Melian, team manager of Suzuki CERT, the endurance team, they had one race in November, last race in Qatar, and they needed to win the race, to win the championship. It was like a close tie with BMW. So anyway, he came see me in Manicourt, which was one of the last World Superbike race, and was like, "Oh, do you fancy coming there? Because we need to win that race. So I would like you to come and help us to do that." Because at that time, the BMW was like a new bike and it was much faster. In Qatar, you got that massive straight, and they kind of they needed two fast riders on that bike to make it win. So anyway, I thought, yeah, that's a good challenge. And obviously, CERT for a French guy, it's a great team, and it's like an institution. They're like 18 times world champion in endurance, so it's a great experience.
name, yeah.
Big
Something
opportunity
different.
yeah.
So I thought, yeah, right, let's do this one shot and try and do it. And I really enjoyed it, and we did win the race. They did win the championship. I didn't know at the time that we had to do 50% of the races to be awarded the title. So even though I won the championship with them,
You weren't classed
I
as a
won the world
champion.
champion. No, so that was annoying a bit. But anyway, it was a good experience. I enjoyed it, and it was with CERT, and it laid a bit the foundation for coming back to them in the future. And when the opportunity was there in 2000 at the end of 19, Suzuki, the guys from Suzuki Japan approached me and said, I was riding the 8-hour Suzuki already since 17, and they said, "Oh, we want to increase the support to the CERT team for 2021. Would you be interested in being like a full-time rider for them?" So I was doing the testing for them at the time, the MotoGP testing, and I thought, yeah, that'd be cool. Because, we'll get the factory tires, the CERT experience, the expertise from Suzuki. The bike is going to be mint.
That bike
And-
is gorgeous.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a great bike.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
When you go and look at it close up, I mean, the Honda's nice, the Kawasaki's nice, all the rest. But that, for me, that CERT bike is the prettiest bike there.
Yeah.
When you go and just look, when you see all the little mechanical things,
Details.
it's just stunning. It's stunning, isn't it? I saw it with all the wheels out and all the everything that's captive. It's bike. It's just bike porn.
Joe, we can hit the pause button if you want.
Give me five.
If you want 5 minutes, don't worry about it.
No, but it isn't it? It's a stunning thing. Lovely.
It's great, and it's fast.
And it works as well.
It's a
doesn't
good
it?
bike. It's a great bike, and the tires are good, and the team is good. They know what they're doing. They've got so much experience. So when I was offered that, I thought, yeah, let's do it. And also, I always wanted to win Le Mans, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, because it's in my French DNA. So that's it. So that, and then the Bol d'Or, and that. So that first year, 2021, we won both. We won Le Mans, we won Bol d'Or, and we won the title. I was like, fucking hell.
It was strong.
We've done all right, yeah.
Great year. It was just a great year.
Yeah.
And I discovered endurance. I mean, because the Qatar one I did in 2010 was an 8-hour. So it's kind of short. Well, 8 hour, it goes quite fast.
Yeah.
24 is very, very different. It's like, I
never completed a 24. We did that 12-hour at Estoril.
How far did you go?
6 hours before my teammate stuffed it into the wall.
No. So you've not made a 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Wow. When you've not slept and you're fucked. You've done 5 relays already. And
Claudio Corti sent me a picture after the Spa. They must have been at like 20 hours. In fact, no, it was when they red flagged it, just before the end of the race. Yeah. He sends me a picture. He's just spewed everywhere. He just says, my soul's just come out. Because just trying to eat and drink anything that you can to stay awake, and your body's just rejecting everything at that point.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about. That
you've got a plan. I had my little plan for my first 24 hour. I was going to have these gels and these drinks, and I'd be fine. I'd be full of energy. I calculated the, estimate of the calories and try and, make it so I don't die, so I'll be like fit. And then after relay 3, everything is out the window.
Really?
Yeah. I get angry. I get real angry. Like, don't talk to me type of angry.
On that note, we'll get them a sandwich. Let's get this man a sandwich. No,
I get, yeah. But it's what it is, isn't it? Because he just pushes you to the max. So,
Well, for Estoril, me and my teammate, our third guy had hurt his back.
Was that a 12-hour, that one?
That was a 12-hour, but he wasn't doing full stints. So we weren't even getting out of our leathers because this guy was doing maybe 15, 20-minute stints.
Why?
Because he'd hurt his back.
Oh, right.
So we were like, we almost probably should have just done it with 2 of us, but fucking hell, that was hard. And then it
was hot as well.
It was like
it was very hot.
30 degrees. There was very little wind, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And it was And I always thought it's hard work around there, isn't it? Other than the start-finish track, it's a very physical track.
But even because it's bumpy and there's a bit of side wind all the time.
Yeah, and it's fast. So you're constantly fighting with it, aren't you? Yeah. It's that. So although I never got to the end of that 24-hour, we did more than 3 stints apiece there.
Yeah, so you could feel it.
Oh my God, like you say, I actually got stronger. My first one, I thought, fuck, what am I doing? Second one, I felt a lot better. Third one, I thought, fourth one, I just thought, kill me. Everything's cramping up,
Yeah, there's that because of the hydration.
You can't get comfortable on the bike, can you?
No.
Then you don't really feel like eating, do you? When you come in. You think, last thing I want is to break.
You have to go. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I just go with the feeling. Like I feel like if you fancy something, just have it. Whatever
just
it is,
something in you.
Freaking, like whatever is in the kitchen there, just have it. Yeah, even if it's. We ended up having like weird stuff like Croque Monsieur. You know what Croque Monsieur is?
Nope.
It's French. It's like
I'm from Yorkshire, mate.
It's disgusting. It's with a cheese. It's like a cheese toasty, but with some kind of cream on the top and cheese on the top, all melted.
It's a heart attack croissant.
Basically, you eat it, you burp it for like 3 hours.
That sounds like you'd sit up and break and just be. Oh,
yeah. It's what it is. So we have that at like 3 a.m. with some Coke and just
class.
Whatever.
So, like, how much did you have to after your first time doing it and then you won it? How much did you have to adjust your training, or did you adjust your training leading into that, knowing how
No.
You knew how brutal it was?
Yeah, it's actually that bad that I ended up not even training for it. I thought, fuck it.
It was that bad?
Because you just think, I can't prepare for this anyway.
No, you can't prepare.
It's psychological, a lot of that, isn't it? A lot of that.
Yeah.
I always think that, again, although I haven't been there, when the sun's coming up, that's your bit where you kind of go, fuck, there's a second wind comes back in, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think it's physiological. Is that the word?
Because it's the time when you're supposed to be getting up again.
Yeah, so probably your body's thinking, hello.
Yeah.
Morning.
Yeah. We'll just forget the last 7 hours of darkness.
You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, But it's a long way to go, because normally it's 3 in the afternoon. So the first Le Mans we did was 12, and that was better, like midday. So you do midday to midday. So you kind of like start, because obviously on race day, you're going to wake up at 6, 7, whatever. And then if you have to go till 3 in the afternoon, do the start, and then do another 24 hours.
You've done your 9 hours.
That's a long time. So when the start is at 12, it's better because...
What was the reason for starting it at 3?
Because it normally starts at 3. It always starts at 3.
Was there was it just just the first race started at 3 and they've just
That's
continued
how it's
that
always
tradition?
been.
Maybe, yeah.
There's no real reason for it, is there?
There'll be some anorak out
Were they
there now.
running like feature races before or anything like that?
It don't matter if you've got to do 24 hours. Get the boys out as quick as they can. Like
Yeah.
get them on with it.
Sometime in Spa they were talking about making an 8 o'clock at night start or 9 o'clock at night and
Really?
start in the night, but that would be absolutely horrendous.
You're right. Why then? Why starting at night?
I don't know,
would do
just
that?
to make it different.
Fucking that
No,
make
no,
it
but I
different,
mean,
all right, wouldn't it?
I know why their reasons for doing something different.
Yeah.
But why would it be horrendous?
'Cause
in
you-
your
you-
opinion?
Because
starting at
you'd
night?
wake up at 7, you'll
spend
do
the
your
day.
full day, and then when you're basically nearly ready to go bed,
They then say, "Go on, pop your leathers on, off you go."
You lads have never done a night shift on the railway, have you?
No,
no, never had a proper job, have you?
yeah,
He's from Yorkshire.
I've had a proper job, yeah. Yeah. Never had a-
Have you ever,
Why would you?
No,
have you?
Never had a job.
that's like, if you didn't get on a motorcycle, what would you be seeing yourself doing then?
No idea. I don't know, because that's all I've been
all
doing.
you've done.
That's all I've
It's
done.
incredible.
Yeah, that's all I've done.
Do you know?
So what advice are you giving to your 6 kids? 6 kids. Like what are they
Well, I'm
able
not
to
in
do?
a really good place to give any advice, am I? Because
Yeah.
I do a job that I at the moment I don't feel confident. I can tell them, oh, I'd like you to do this because I know what happens. And as a
How
parent,
many boys and girls have you got? Sorry.
four girls, 2 boys.
Bloody hell.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're not. You're far from like lazy. Like you say, you've gone from racing to testing, then into BT commentating, which we haven't even scratched the surface off. You know what graft is, and yet, but in the motorcycle,
Well, I don't know
industry,
if you can talk about graft. I do what I love. So I talk about bikes and I ride bikes. So,
Yeah.
You know.
So you never go to work.
Well,
It's not work, is it?
Some of it feels like work sometimes, but not. I think I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
Do you? I'm away from home a lot, and
Yeah.
when I talk to people, they go, "Oh, look at you living the life. You this, that, and the other. It's jet setting off, and this, that, and the other." You'll understand. It gets boring, doesn't it? You just want to make a cup of tea in your own kitchen and sit on your sofa and stroke the dog and just watch shit TV, or put your own little girl to bed. Do you know what I mean? Rather than living on a phone, doing, "Oh, I'll ring you when I can." Living out of a suitcase all the time. It does become where you think, I just need to get home. I want to walk around my garden or go and tinker in the garage.
Yeah, it can get like that, and that's probably that, and the travelling is probably the worst bit. But you can't.
You're constantly grateful for the position, as you say. I'm not working.
Can't complain too much. It's hard, and sometimes you're a long way from home for a long time, and that's not great, and it's difficult, and it puts pressure in the family life.
Massively,
and whatever,
yeah.
and it does, and it's just what it does. But then, on another hand, I feel like you can't when you know what goes on, and when the hardship that people go through. If I was to complain, fuck me,
You're incredibly blessed. I feel incredibly blessed that I get the opportunities that.
But sometimes you feel, you do feel like, oh, I could, like you said, I could do like we've been with the kids or whatever, but you can't have it all.
Have you got season next year with BT Sport then for MotoGP as commentating? So
and the 100s.
And will you be at your every round?
I don't know yet.
Because how many rounds are there?
21
even.
Yeah.
I've just given you an extra day there somewhere, pick somewhere. 22. Jesus,
That's a lot.
that is a lot.
Yeah, the end of the year schedule is very, very busy with a lot of races abroad. So if they all go ahead, all the Kazakhstan and India and all that, all the new ones, and plus the the standard Australia, Malaysia, Japan, Thailand, all of that is all together. So it's going to be a long time away for a lot of people, as in like staying out for like 5 weeks.
Yeah, because there's no point in coming back, is there?
Yeah, and then especially for the mechanics, because they can't, the team personnel, they can't go home because they have a lot of work before and after the races, so they all have to stay out.
So like quickly jumping back. So when did you are you still a MotoGP test rider?
No.
When did that stop?
No.
That
just
right now,
stopped
wow.
Well, we stopped this year at the end of 22. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So you're on the grid. You know what I mean? You're in Australia. Let's call it. All the Suzuki riders suddenly get flu, and they just come nudge you. Just go. Come on, come on, son. Come on. Get your levers on.
Is that part of the contract?
Yeah, we discussed it last year. Yeah,
right.
normally I was so all this time I was test rider, so from 2017 until now
Yeah.
I'm the one that replaces if one of them hurt themselves. So
You have done that though, haven't you?
yeah, I have. Yeah, quite a few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we done wildcards and then we done replacement. So at the start, actually, the job for me came about in 2017. So I was riding a Suzuki here with that new JSX-1000.
Yeah.
And so in BSB, and at the time, at the start of the year, Alex Rins hurt his wrist in America, I think it was. So he breaks his wrist quite badly, and he's got. They want him to take some time because there's his second injury in a row, and they want him to take some time out to fix it properly because it just wasn't, and he needed a couple of months. So they were looking for somebody because you have to replace by rule. You have 10 days. So basically, if one of the main riders hurt themselves in MotoGP and is raced 10 days later, it has to be replaced. Somebody needs to be on the bike.
There's a contract for 2 bikes to be on the grid.
Yeah, that's the contract.
Or X amount of bikes to be on the grid.
All right.
Your bike, you've signed a contract. Your team will have a bike on the grid.
That's it. That's the rules.
wow, yeah.
That's the rules. So
Formula One's exactly the same, isn't it?
yeah, I think so.
Formula One's the same. Yeah.
All right.
So they were in that situation, and obviously at the time was Davide Brivio, the team manager, and they were looking at who can replace Alex. The problem is with those bikes, it's not easy to put somebody that's not familiar with it or not familiar with the tracks and the tires, and they are a bit tricky.
But the skill set alone, like you're going from like world endurance on one of the world's best superbikes, and then hopping on a MotoGP bike with total different tires, totally different. That is, I cannot stress how impressive that is. That is.
I'd done MotoGP before, so I knew the tracks. I knew kind of what to expect. When I rode it wasn't with the Michelin tires. It was with Bridgestone with the Pramac, and with the Ducati and the Dunlops with the Yamaha. But I still knew the tracks, and at that point I still had a lot of experience. So anyway, Davide rang me, and he was like, "Oh, do you fancy coming to replace Alex?" So obviously I was like, "Yeah, 100%."
Do you know if you sat in the kitchen and you get that call, do you get, no, I'll be there, do you hang up and go, I'm back in MotoGP, bosh?
No, not really.
Get upstairs, love.
It's not an easy one. Definitely not that, mate. We're done. Just Thursdays and whatever. That's it.
Oh,
we've got all the kids.
On the calendar. Put them on the calendar, yeah. Do you want one now or later?
Yeah. Like you have to make an appointment.
Yeah.
So anyway, obviously I wanted to do it, and being a MotoGP team, they were like, "Oh, we have a test in Jerez that was planned, so it'd be good if you can join us for the test in Jerez, and then you'll start." I think they had the Tsuda, so the Japanese test rider, to race actually in Jerez straight away, and then I was doing the later ones, which was Barcelona and something else, can't remember now. Anyway, there's a couple of races, so I got the chance to test the bike in Jerez before the replacement rides. And so I was a Suzuki contacted rider anyway in BSB, so it all makes sense. And I tried the bike in Jerez, and I remember I tried the bike the first time, and I said to them, the first thing I said to them, "Fucking hell, the bike don't stop, like just do not stop." And they were like, "All right," and it's like, "Yeah, this is not right. There's something wrong with it." And so anyway, they checked and said, "No, that's all packaged this year." So wait, don't work, it's not good. So they were,
and this was nothing to do with your super late braking that you touched on earlier.
No, I don't know. I think
this was just the thing.
I think it was a mix of me having ridden the superbikes for a while, and me not using the rear brake, because at the time I didn't use the rear brake at all, because on superbikes I don't use the rear brake. No. I'd rather compensate with the engine brake setting.
Yeah,
that's just my way of setting the bike up. But anyway, in a GP bike you need to use the rear brake, so I wasn't using the rear brake, and I got on that bike and the bike wasn't stopping, it was just pushing everywhere. And I said to them, "Look, we need to do something about it. Add some engine brake, we need to do something." And they were like, "Well, we can't, we're already maxed up, we can't close the engine brake anymore." So we got this talking about this and the setup and this, and that's when they realized that they made that mistake with the. So I said to them, "There is something wrong with the bike. This is not normal." And that's the year where they had basically the engine mass was too heavy.
Yeah.
So the bike was pushing everywhere, but the riders they had at the time was Alex Rins, he was a rookie, so he didn't know. He just went from so he's not going to.
He never got anything to compare.
No, he didn't have any
it?
experience or anything. So for him, it was just normal, because that's why they gave him, and that's why he knew.
Yeah.
And Andrea Iannone was coming from another manufacturer, and he didn't pick up on it, so they chose the spec, and then they were stuck with it, because in MotoGP, once you declare your spec of engine, you're stuck with it for the whole year. You got your 7 or 9 engines, and that's it. You can't change it.
Right.
So It was not great news for them, but I brought them that news, and at the time they were already considering doing a test team, like a full test team. So they thought, well, actually, you would fit well with this, and we're happy with your comments and stuff like that, and it makes sense. And so we started working on the test team, and that's how I became the test rider. So
brilliant.
That was it.
Me and Don were talking because I did quite a bit of testing for Triumph, and I said your mindset changes, doesn't it? The way you get on things and you analyse things as a racer, and the way your test rider mind starts programming itself. Where you pick up, I don't like the vibrations when it pulls through 7.5 to 8. It's not nice, and then it clears itself, and then you start picking up all sorts of different things, don't you, as a test rider?
Because you become less obsessed with the lap time,
and more.
So you concentrate more on other things.
The bike work, don't you? Yeah. And I think. Do you do a bit of tyre testing, or did you do a bit of tyre testing, not just in the MotoGP?
He does now on Michelin's.
Yeah. I thought, I
don't do that anymore.
Oh, right.
No, I did it for a bit, a couple of years ago,
but not anymore.
We did no.
That's mad. But like your YouTube channel, it's like I've only recently discovered it, and it's absolutely brilliant. You do a lot of testing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, cheers. Yeah.
No, but it's absolutely brilliant. Like you talk about brake and hand position. It's like you actually talk a lot about advanced techniques. And to be blunt, if you've ridden a bike, you know how to go around a corner. You're not dulling it down to that point. You're talking a lot of technicalities, and you were mentioning the fact that you don't even touch the back brake, on a superbike element, and which is.
You're probably the same on a big bike, on a stock 1000 or a superbike.
Yeah.
A production bike. I would never touch the rear brake.
Well, the only advice I ever got about braking was only brake when you see Jesus. You know what I mean?
But how did you find where was the need to use the rear? Because obviously they're loading the front so hard and making the rear go light, aren't they? Which usually then on a production bike, you touch the rear brake and the thing's fucking skipping around over. How do they use it in a different way?
But you can still use it. I mean, it's still, if you can use it, the problem is like the standard place of the rear brake where, the right foot is stupid. It makes no sense at all.
It's the most unnatural feeling in the world,
It's tradition, or it's just the way people built bikes 600 years ago. I don't know. But it's just like that. But it's shit. It's crap. You can't get any feel. It's rubbish. And you can't get your foot where you want it in the right turns because it's there.
It's either too far forward in a right-hander or on the left. You're wanting to weight the pedal with your heel, aren't you?
To start with, it's not convenient. So for me, it just became, when I was riding superbikes, and at the time where you couldn't have it at the hand or anything like that, it didn't exist. It was just like useless because it was more of an inconvenience to even think about touching it. There is benefits, especially in MotoGP, because in GP, for many, many reasons, I would take forever to explain, but it is important to use it. But yeah, and then they use it in World Superbike now as well, because it does help with closing the turns, and it does help. But it's just, for me, it was more of an inconvenience, and you can still ride fast without touching it.
Yeah.
With a big 4-stroke, if the engine brake is set up properly.
And that Suzuki was just so far away from being usable without having to use the rear brake. Or it was, even when you used the rear brake, it was still bad.
No, it was still the natural character of the engine because of the inertia was not right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just the two lads, because they're very, actually Alex and Andrea, were very good at rear braking. They're just very good, because that's what you do on GP type of bikes. To go fast, you have to use the rear brake. So they were excellent at doing it. So they kind of like were compensating with their riding technique or braking technique. But still, you still have like the engine has still got a character for the positive torque, but also for the negative torque. As in, like when you brake, there's still a lot of effect. Like a natural engine brake, it's very hard to then alter it with a setup. And it's got limits. Like say, if you got too much inertia, too much mass in the engine, you can close the valve as much as you want, and you're going to get to a point where you can't close them, and the bike is still pushing. So then you need other systems, like we did with Suzuki. We started using exhaust valves, which helps a lot with getting a stronger engine brake and modulate it in a better way. But it's like, but you still have the DNA of the engine cannot be completely hidden. It's always there. Yeah, so it needs to be well born, and a new engine for MotoGP, a new spec, needs to be balanced. And if it's not, you're always going to be missing something.
How does that... Sorry, Dom. Go on.
No, carry on. No, you're in a flow there. Go for it.
I was just saying, how does that process then for the following year? So you go back to the factory, the boys, and you say, right, this is where it was weak. This is where we were struggling as a manufacturer. This is what we need to change. Do they then produce 4 different engines for you to try with variable weights and you go and run them and say, okay, well, that works, but what it does cause is it causes this. And then they say, well, we're running out of time. We've got to put our spec forward now.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to submit that. And Sylvain, you're going to have to figure a way that we fucking fix this next problem. Is that basically how?
Yeah. It's a rush because
winter isn't long, is it?
No,
Between the end of the season and you haven't. When do you have to submit those?
There was one year where we actually pushed it because we weren't sure, and we had to run like different tests at different tracks and just to be absolutely sure. And because of that bad experience in 2017 with that choice of engine, they were very, very not paranoid but very concerned about not making that mistake again, because like I said in MotoGP, once you chose your engine spec and you seal your first engine for the first race or your first couple of engines, that's it. You're not allowed to change it. You're going to be stuck with it all year.
When in the year does that have to be done?
Before the first race. So basically the bike that exit the first in FP1
of the first round, that engine spec is to remain for the whole year. So in reality, you're coming back 2 months, aren't you, at least? Because there isn't going to be time to make alterations at the end of February.
One year we went to do a test in Jerez I remember because it was for my wife's birthday, and she went to happy about it. It was on the 18th of December.
Easier to get forgiveness than it is permission. Always easier to get forgiveness than it is permission.
So anyway, I had to go. We did that test, and it was to choose the engine that had to be validated for the opener in Qatar in March. So yeah. So it's tight.
It's just interesting to know those timelines that because everybody's going to be working to a similar sort of timeline, aren't they? All the other manufacturers.
It happened to Ducati last year. They turned up in Sepang and with the new spec of engine 2022, all the riders tried it, and most of them were like, actually, we don't like the torque delivery, like the initial torque delivery with the 2022 engine. They didn't like it, and none of them liked it. And Pecco had a panic. And he was like, no, we can't use that. Oh yeah, this is not right. And he dominated the end of 2021. And then he got there early 2022 and he was like get within half a second of what he was doing. So he was really struggling. And they decided to change the spec after the February test. So the factory bikes of Ducati the bike that won the title was like a 21.5 type of spec.
Because 22 was just...
Because he didn't like it. I mean, Zarco and Martin, they run the 22 spec, Marini as well. Mm-hmm. But then, with the factory Ducati, they decided to change. Jack wanted to stay with the 22, but he in a factory team, you have to have the same spec for both riders, and priority was given to Pecco, so he had to use the 21. They sorted it out, but the start of season for Ducati was not good last year. Because of that. So the engine spec is super important. Yeah, you need to get it right.
These are all the things that you don't see as a spectator or a fan of the sport.
No.
They turn up at round 1 and you go,
yeah, fine.
Well, he's come out the
new
gates.
bikes, new wings.
New wings, yeah. I want to ask you about that, actually. You've ridden, obviously, with these wings.
Yeah.
The difference that makes... How big is it? Because they were talking about the end of the straight in Mugello, and they're almost into this F1 territory of clean air and dirty air. And can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Rather, because we get we hear bits through.
Yeah, no, we've made loads of testing with the wings, with and without. Actually, we used to sometimes take them out as well to double check everything and get data. And so as a test team, that's what you do. And without the wings, the bike is a lot harder to ride. Yeah, the wings bring stability, they bring efficiency, they bring drag, but they bring turning, they bring more positive than negative. Basically, you lose a bit of, to resume it, you lose a bit of drag, and you improve your turning, you improve your stability, you improve the wheelies, so you improve your acceleration, basically.
Do you notice it from a feel point of view as well as, sometimes you make little changes, don't you? And you go 0.2 quicker and you think, fuck, that was a shit lap. And you look down and It didn't feel, but it has obviously made a difference with the wings. Is it something that you physically feel and you go, oh my God, that is very different?
Straight away, yeah. It makes them more stable. I mean, there's positives and negatives. Like the problem is because it creates more drag when you are in the slipstream of a big winged Ducati or a big winged whatever bike. Actually,
got the big.
You can't stop anymore. So because you're not taking the wind yourself as well. Like your wings are helping you to stop. So if you're behind somebody braking, you're in this dirty air.
Yeah.
So you're not stopping as well, and that's a big difference. Most of the time, that's why you see the riders brake. They always brake a little bit.
They have to be offline almost.
Yeah, they're a little bit offline because they get much better braking efficiency. Or we've seen it as well, creating accidents where people get sucked in. They get sucked in, and the front is locking, and you can't stop because there's no wind. So there has been crashes like that.
Right.
Nakagami Barcelona crash is
that was bad.
Rins in Le Mans, that was that as well.
Yeah.
When he went straight at the Well, he crashed after, but the initial mistake was being straight behind the Ducati.
So when he rolled off, he
rolled off, and the bike just carried on,
kept going,
and he couldn't stop. That's it.
You know the previous Ducati then? Why didn't the Suzuki, you know, the Jigsaw road going one for the Superbikes?
Yeah.
Why didn't they go down an aero pack then?
Well, because it was ages ago. That bike was released in 2017.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, like the age of the bike. But you know when you think like BMW, Kawasaki, all of them like bring out a new bike, but it's really like an aero packet, like an aero package.
Thing is,
you know, little changes that bring out a new bike.
They don't race. I mean, most of these manufacturers, the other manufacturers, they did it as well because they race the bikes in World Superbike, and they saw the benefits in MotoGP.
Yeah.
So they wanted to adapt it, but then Suzuki they don't race in World Superbike, and until 2021 the endurance program was not even a factory project, so they just didn't really.
Manufacturers don't sell sports bikes, do they? That's the top of like big 1000cc sports bikes. The sales for those bikes has dropped so much that it's difficult for them to justify.
Yeah, but it's still a good window, you know.
But they have to weigh up, don't they, where the investment is, where they keep chucking. Do they throw it at another superbike project, or budgets play a massive part, don't they?
Yeah, it's obviously it's not easy for the manufacturers, and that's what we've seen with Suzuki, you know, putting out
of everything, isn't it?
Yeah, putting out of everything, and they're going to stay in endurance.
I was just about to say, sorry, Dami, go on.
Oh no, I was just about to say, is that like pulling out of everything, race and everything? What, so motocross, or is it just motorcycles?
Well, motocross they've stopped already, haven't they?
Yeah.
Right.
And then MotoGP, obviously that's completely finished.
Yes.
World Superbikes is gone.
World Superbike was never there. Well, it's not been there since 2011, I think. Was the last year.
Is that when it was?
Yeah, and there was the team in England, but I don't think that's. Does that carry on?
I think Hawk get a little bit of support, don't they? But it's not,
because that was Suzuki team, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like
and then World Endurance was supposed to stop, but they decided to carry on. So that's the good news. That's good news, because that bike is so nice. You know, you don't want. I mean, already the GP bike, you know, going away, that's sad. But the endurance bike at least will carry on in its current form.
Are you allowed to tell us whether you're on that next year?
I am. Yeah. Good. Yeah. I am on it. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good.
So like Suzuki as whole, like, but they're just not making enough money to continue the race.
It's not that they don't make enough money. I think their results are quite good.
Yeah.
It's just they decided to move the resources somewhere else. So, you know, at the end of the day, MotoGP is a marketing exercise and a way to develop some technologies and whatever. They decided that those resources were better elsewhere, and that's it.
I think that's really sad, to be honest.
It is sad.
It's sad for us because we're passionate and we love it. And that bike was beautiful, and that team was great.
And the work and the progress that's gone into that as well from the comeback, you know.
It's disappointing for sure, because when you're inside, or when you're a fan, or when you are a motorbike enthusiast or fan of MotoGP or whatever, you just see that bike and thinking that it's not going to be on the grid. It is disappointing, but then again, you know, they gave us the chance. They came back in 2015, made all this happen, which was a great dream story, building the project, winning the World Championship, winning races, winning the last race that they enter. You know, it's been fantastic adventure and a great human one as well. Like the team is like, it's just the best team ever. But then it's the end, and you know, I don't know. In a way, they gave us the chance to experience that as well. So you can't, you know, so you got to see the positive side of things. Maybe they'll be back.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Do you reckon is it a never say never situation?
Never say never.
Never say
I'll
never.
never say never, but I don't know. I think it don't look too good.
Where are a
shame.
lot of those guys, the good guys that have made up that team, where do they find themselves going?
Most of them are gone to different, various teams.
Still in Grand Prix.
Yeah, so fortunately, most of them managed to find a job in a different MotoGP team or Moto2. Or most of them have managed to find. Some of them haven't. So that's sad for
Because
them.
it takes a lot to put a team together, doesn't it? And they're all paying a mortgage. They're all trying to keep the kids fed. They've all.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to put a bike on a grid, and it's a lot of people you don't see. And obviously, when a manufacturer or a team decides it's going to fold,
It's
a
like
lot of people's
40 people.
livelihoods. Yeah, it's a lot of people, isn't
Well,
it?
40 people on site, and then you got all the guys as well at the factory. So in Japan, they would have been relocated to a different department, or the employees of Suzuki. So yeah, it's a difficult situation. But then again, the opportunity was created.
Yeah.
Jobs were created. And
It was a
then-
success.
Yeah, and then those resources, they're going to go into, I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea, but whatever they're going to do with it, they're going to create another activity somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's life, isn't it? It's just ups and
absolutely.
down. You have to ride the wave and try and bounce back.
Yeah.
So, how are you enjoying the swap over from racer, tester, everything on that side of things to commentating? Have you enjoyed the transfer?
Yeah.
I know you're still racing endurance, like you said, which is brilliant news. But
Yeah.
are you enjoying the new challenge?
I love it. Yeah. I love it. I mean, I still love the racing, and like the idea is basically as long as I don't get thrashed by the young lads and I can still give them some, I'm gonna stay there, because why
Damn
not?
right, damn
Who
right.
wants to retire like when you're still doing well? Nobody. You retire when you start to be shit. You know what I mean?
The beauty of the endurance thing as well is you've got 4 or 5 rounds, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
and there's that.
and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
an enjoyable, 3 or 4 days that are full on. You hate it after the race because you want to die, but
Yeah.
you haven't got to commit to 21 rounds, have you? So you can do other things while still
Yeah,
racing. It's
so
a
that's-
really
that's
nice
great.
position to
Yeah.
be in, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good. And the endurance racing, I really enjoy. It gives me quite a bit of time to be with the family, and the TV job a lot less, because that's a lot of traveling and a lot of moving around and days away and stuff like that. But I really enjoy it. Like the team, like the guys at Beach Spot, it's great. It's a great atmosphere. They really welcome me as well. It kind of works straight away. So we all got on really well, and it's great because we work well as a team, and there's different personalities in there that kind of like work well together.
You want that natural chemistry, don't you? Where everybody just sort of bounces off each other.
That's what's happened.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of banter, there's a bit of fun, but there's also a lot of professional stuff where we try and bring that content and that insight from what we see or what we know or whatever, and it works, and we all respect each other. It's a really good team. It's a good team, and it's well organized. The prod is brilliant. It's a great gig. I really like it.
It's
I
good
like
when they can bring in riders that also have the relationship with riding the bike. They know the teams, they know the team managers, they know the riders that are still racing.
Yeah, that's what we
you
get.
can bring something that a journalist can't bring.
No, and we're in the paddock,
And you're not a journalist, are you? So you're not coming at it from a
not
particular
really.
agenda,
I mean,
are you?
eventually, probably, if I carry on doing this, like the riders and the new riders, they're going to come and they're going to be a bit. But at the moment, if we're in the paddock and we got Fabio that's coming past on his scooter, he'll come and try and make me fall while we live, or try and come and say hello. Just like messing about, and this is great.
That's what people
Yeah,
want to
it's
see,
gold.
because it's real.
It's gold. It's real. It's fun.
Yeah.
And the lad is going to, 5 minutes down the line, he's going to be, going for pole, and he's like a fucking superhero on his bike, and he's one of the most talented rider. But we got to talk to him and just say, hey, good luck, mate. And that's what we want to see. And we enjoy doing it. And it works. And then the guys in the team, they're great at telling stories. Susie's great, Michael, and I mean, I can't name them all, Neil and Gav, and it's a great atmosphere and a great bunch of people, and they know what they're doing because they've been here for a long time now.
Yeah.
They know the riders. They've done it all. They've done the result. They've performed. They've struggled, so they know what goes on. I mean, I keep going on about it, but I love it.
No, but you can see the passion in it. I love it. Yeah. And it stops you having to get a proper job.
I tell you what, you're a man who never shies away from a challenge. So what else is left on the bucket list? You've got you're doing so much at the minute. You're still active in the race, and you're even picking up how many years have you been with RST now? Was this your?
It was my first year last year, so
I'm still getting deals. You see, they are once a race, always a race. So
well, you got
It's just life in the old dog yet.
That's it.
So what, any other challenges? Because we've got people doing Dakar.
I was just about to say, does the Dakar?
Yeah, I'm rubbish at off-roading there. Well, well, the problem is with off-roading, that's why I don't do it, is that I run out of talent very, very quickly. So, you got to know your limits. You got to know what you can't do. I couldn't do that.
How impressive is Petrucci to go and do from what he's done in...
I think most people don't realise how amazing that was.
That is badass.
I mean, to go and win a stage
at the Dakar.
At the Dakar is insane, in the sun with those bikes and the level of competition there. I mean, these guys are professional rally raid drivers or riders, and they know what they're doing. They know how to nav. They know how to handle the speed. I mean, the speed they do is crazy. It's super dangerous.
Just blind sand dune jumps with loose sand and everything. It's just incredible.
Mad. So what he did was actually, I mean, I don't know how you could compare it in all word, but it's a bit like, I don't know. It's like
it's not, is it? Because as you say, it's not just the riding. It's the navigation. It's the reading
the
terrain. It's the fact that those dunes are blind. They've got trucks coming behind them. There's so much going on.
Completely different game.
Yeah, they're not sat down. They're stood up. They're fighting.
It's like one of them getting a wild card in MotoGP
and
winning the fucking race.
Toby Price turns up on Jack Miller's bike and wins.
Sam Sunderland.
Yeah. It is. It's a complete cross of complete different disciplines. So what he did was amazing. Really, really. And also Danilo is a great lad. Great. It was good to see him back on a Suzuki this year. So I was supposed to replace, but I couldn't, and because I broke my hand in Suzuka in August, so I couldn't do the replacement for Johan when Mia hurt himself. So Danilo was back, and it was great to have him back. We had him in Thailand. It's brilliant. Yeah, he's great.
He looked to just be enjoying him. He just looked grateful to be there and enjoying himself.
Yeah,
big grin on his face.
Loved it.
Just
Yeah.
So even on track or off track, you're the man who's done. You've done every category on tarmac wise. Is there anything else outside of that? Have you jumped out of planes? Have you got anything on your bucket list?
I was actually looking at yesterday to do my plane license. Yeah, because I haven't got that, and I quite fancy doing it.
You should speak to James Whittam.
Yes, he's got it, and Steve Parrish as well. I think
the Huddersfield International Airport.
Haslam's only up the road. He'll probably put you in a plane and just send you off on your own.
I could just borrow his plane.
Yeah. You want to speak to them?
Yeah, no, I was looking at it. It's actually not that bad. It's 25 for microlight. It's 25 hours of practice, and then you're off. And that's it. You got your license.
It's going to make the BT Sport job even easier. He'll fly out the back garden.
To go to Le Mans. Go to Le Mans from here. I mean, some of them, I was looking on internet, that some of them are super fast.
Yeah.
Mad. The microlight. So now there's a new rule, is 600 kilos. I know it's a bike podcast, but we're going to talk about planes on it.
Why not?
600 kilos max loaded. And some of them are full carbon. They're I think they're 350 kilos, the whole thing. And some of them can do 350k an hour.
Bloody hell.
Wow.
And isn't there an airfield next to Le Mans?
Yeah, at Le Mans actually.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, but if Sylvain
do you own this
Guintoli
field there? Just buy the field next to it.
No, I got it. This one.
There you go, yeah.
So it's long enough.
Yeah. That's a plan.
Sorted.
Let me know when you're doing it. I'll come down and watch you take off.
Mate, I will quite happily drive down for that.
That's fine. And the wind normally comes that way, so you can just
straight up and into it, yeah.
Straight. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to next year's interview.
Done.
Next year's interview is going to be laugh because
do you know there's more passion you talking about that? There's more passion in your face than everything we've talked about before.
It's winter, because you're that bored, you don't ride bikes.
Yeah.
You just start looking at everything on the internet. You're just looking at things to do, and you dream about cars and bikes and things, and you're just fucking freezing, and it's
what do you do away from racing? Because I always think I mean, people might say, well, you're a boring bastard anyway, but when I go and I find myself in a social environment, if it's not bike related, I'm bollocksed, to be honest with you, because I don't follow football, I don't really follow rugby, I've got no interest in golf or cricket or the Olympics. So if it's not bikes, I haven't really got a lot to talk about. And
Hence, would be the perfect fit for this show. Perfect.
It's sad, isn't it? It's sad.
It's just bikes.
Yeah, because there's, it is what it is. I don't know. It's
No, I don't.
What are you
mates,
into away from?
We don't talk about. Not really. We don't talk about bikes now. Now I've got a few mates. We do like mountain biking stuff and like just basically just getting drunk. It's Christmas, isn't it?
Good man.
So I bet you can't even talk anymore.
Just get whammered.
Just get blasted.
Go till you're bingoed and then stop.
Yeah, and have a mince pie or something. After.
I'm doing dry January. Have you
You
tried
are?
that? Doing dry January.
Do you know what I did one? I never did dry January, but I did veggie January.
I'm out. I'm not interested. I bet you just
pain
stank.
in the arse.
Didn't you just fart all the time?
Well, you shit yourself permanently.
Class.
I lost about 2 or 3 kilos in like a month because you can't eat bugger all.
No,
There's nothing you can eat.
Celery.
And it's boring, so
Yeah,
you don't
get
want to
bored of
eat
eating
it.
it, yeah.
Most of it is boring.
Yeah.
So it takes some. I didn't feel bad. I felt a bit hyper and stuff like that. I don't know why. I felt really hyper, and I wanted to try it for the sport. Like see if there was like some kind of effect.
Yeah.
With training and see if I was fast on my bike or my bicycle or running or whatever. It didn't really make a difference. It was not better or worse. It was only a month because after a month,
You were sick of it.
yeah, it was a pain, yeah. And I made the whole family do it as well, which was terrible. They hated me. The kids were crying every meal. It was shocking.
I made the kids do it. That's even bad.
Kids hated me. It took like a long time to for them to like me again.
I watched.
You're trying to bribe them with anything they want.
There's a documentary called Game Changer.
Have you watched
I
that?
watched that. Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
there
what
was
inspired me.
myself, Taylor McKenzie, and Billy McConnell were all at Alcaraz
Yeah.
doing some testing, and
Yeah.
we started watching this,
Yeah.
and we're like, "Holy fuck, we're dying! Like, this is so bad.
That's why. There's another one as well. There's a second one. I can't remember what it's called. I watched them too, and then did the vegan thing.
That's exactly what I did.
Traumatised.
I did a week of vegan while I was away with them because it's easier when people
You'll
are doing
give
it
up.
around
You'll
you.
go after a month. You go fuck that.
I didn't do a month. I got back and I did a week of vegging, and my missus was like, "Oh, there's nothing in. We've only got chicken." I'm like, "Fuck, just do the chicken. Just do the chicken." Nah, not for me.
No.
Not for me.
That's enough.
And then I
I mean,
found out-
rabbit food is alright for a bit, but I can't do it. Personal choice. I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I'm the same. But I tried it, so
Yeah. That's it.
I'm trying not to drink. I've managed this far.
How long have you managed?
13 days.
You count how many hours? Count the minutes
Sat
as
like
well.
that, I'm rocking,
Yeah.
sweating.
You look a little bit like on edge. You're shaking.
Yeah. I only drink to stop the shakes.
Oh my god.
It's terrible, isn't it? It's terrible.
Oh god. Sorry, I'm just thinking about my next drink now. That's
bad.
Oh
bad.
Jesus, Mike Bailey, here we go.
So when does the pre-season testing start?
We're gonna start quite late this year. Probably like mid-March, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you do the whole Spanish test?
Yeah, we're gonna go
Oh,
test
yeah.
in Spain, and then there's a test in Le Mans at the end of March, the pre-Le Mans they call it, and it's usually like -5 and nobody can ride.
Nice,
and then April is the race.
I did the one 2021. I did the one in
Yeah, that one was cold.
It was cold, but it was dry.
Yeah.
It was cold, but
Yeah.
it was dry. It was okay with that.
To be fair, you can find those conditions in the race. We're lucky because it's warm. Did you do the race as well?
No, because we weren't allowed out.
Yeah.
The
COVID.
COVID job knackered us. So I think the only Brit that was there was James Westmoreland on the 333 iGol team. He went out, but he had to go out 2 weeks earlier to quarantine. So he was the only, and he's the fourth rider. So I don't think he rode, but he was the only Brit that was there. The rest of us, we weren't given a pass in. We were looking at how we could get in. Could we go in as freight drivers?
Yeah.
Because freight drivers are still allowed in and out. So we said, we'll do that. And I think we made the mistake of telling the organisers that's how we would be coming in, and they said,
then they just capped it.
no.
No, they want
No.
Pas comme ça.
Yeah, Brits, go away. They were not very.
Cooperative.
The problem with it was that the GPs had been in. So we asked, well, how do the riders like
remember all
Jake
that,
Dixon go in?
But they had special exemptions with GP. Basically, Dorna negotiated with
but they
the
wouldn't do it
authorities.
for they wouldn't do it for EWC.
They were going to stop. Even though I was French, because I was coming from UK, I also had some problems to go.
So
and
did you have to go out early in quarantine?
No, in the end, I think I just got in anyway, and then they didn't ask anything at the airport. when I landed.
Well, you see,
because I was French.
And there was another conversation about, do we just go and just see what happens?
Yeah,
and just.
But that's what I did.
But it's just a huge thing to get the truck loaded up, to get to Dover, to find out.
And also they did, I remember, I don't know if it was before or after, but they did something like an exemption if you were like a professional sport.
Elite sport exemption.
That's it.
Would you class yourself as elite, Joe?
I class myself a lot of things. Elite is not one of them, but it worked for getting me in and out.
Yeah,
that was Portugal. We had to use the elite sport thing to get into Portugal.
That's it. As long as you could get a paper from the team or from the
ACU. The ACU did us a letter to say that.
Yeah, I've got a French license, so the French did it for me.
Perfect.
And then it worked. So that was it.
There we go.
That's a bit different.
I'll tell you what, before we now unfortunately I can't access the Patreon. That's what I've been doing. I haven't been rude looking at me phone. I've been trying to access the Patreon page, who ask loads of great questions and everything like that. So unfortunately, technicality on that side. But while we're working on that, I need your predictions for this season coming in. I want them in all classes: MotoGP, BSB, and Worlds. I need who's your race?
Oh, wow,
and World Endurance. But I don't think.
Well, World Endurance, we should win that because
that's prediction one.
Yeah, I mean,
who's your third man this year? Because we didn't talk about the fact that Javier Simeon pulled out before Boldor.
That's it. So we got Greg. He's there again, and Etienne Masson is back. So was Suzuki before I arrived, went to Ducati and Kawasaki, and now he's back with us. So
that's a strong team.
Yeah, it's strong. If we don't, I think if we don't have any problem, I mean it's endurance, but yeah, it's looking all right. So that's that. And then MotoGP, I would say, that's a tough one. Really tough. MotoGP, I think. I think Bagnaia will do it again.
Right?
Yeah.
Quartararo, you don't think he might just find something somewhere?
I think they're not going to find any speed in that bike.
Because Honda are the same, aren't they? Honda have just gone...
But for now, Honda is a disaster. The bike is not good enough.
Have they got time to realistically change that?
Yeah, they can change, but the problem is that bike was born... It was a new concept last year, and it's never performed very well. And it kind of like almost got worse, so that means the DNA of the bike is not great. So I don't know, it doesn't look like they're doing a completely new bike. They're just trying to copy a bit what Ducati is doing, and I mean you can never say never with HRC. You never know. There's a lot of firepower behind it, but it doesn't look too good. Yeah, I'd say Pecco, and I think Brad will be a big surprise.
Yeah,
if they get, I think Brad could actually be top 3 next year.
I reckon so.
I'm going to say...
I got a feeling for Binder.
Complete outsider, Alicia Spargaro.
Yeah, but he's not an outsider, is he? He was leading the championship and he was... Yeah.
He wouldn't be your first choice though, would he? But I think... I don't know. If I was going to just go and stick a cheeky £100 on someone just to try and get me money back...
I would put it on Binder if I had to put £100, because if you put £100 on Pecco, the odds wouldn't be very good, would they?
No. That's why I say Spargaro.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
As an underdog.
As an underdog, yeah.
No, I've got another question. Do you reckon Marquez has still got it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. He hasn't got the tools. That's all.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you can imagine after that massive crash he had, you know what I mean? And then since then the recovery, the arm, and then just getting over that, and people have, to be blunt, kind of wrote him off, haven't they? Saying he hasn't got the bite, but.
No, he's still very much there. Still very much one of the best riders. He just the bike is not good enough for him. That's all.
Yeah. He said that straight away.
I mean, some people like him, some people hate him, whatever. He's still a hugely talented rider.
Yeah.
And he's in a better shape now. Like since his surgery, he's in a better shape. His arm has got back into the right place, and he's better, and he's fit. So yeah, if they give him the right bike and package, he'll be there. That's the question for me.
Because how long has he got left on his contract?
He had 5 years 3 years ago.
Right, there we are then.
No, he's 4 years. He's up for renewal with everybody else in 2 years.
What bike would you put him on? What bike would you like to see him on?
Well, I don't know. The problem is,
Suzuki.
He's got a great riding style for he adapts, and obviously he's been riding V4 for all his career, so it will be. It would suit. I think it would suit any bike. It'd be good as long as the bike. Obviously, it would be very, very difficult to beat on a Ducati, or he'd be fighting for for wins anyway. If he was on a good Ducati, but yeah, I don't think that bike is ready yet.
So we've covered endurance. We've done MotoGP predictions. BSB. Tell you what, no, let's go backwards. Let's go Worlds. Who's going to win Worlds?
World Superbike.
Yeah.
World Superbike. I will go for Bautista again. Yeah, I can see him building on it.
Yeah.
And he's got such a speed advantage that it doesn't look like it's getting tamed down. So, I mean, how can you
be competitive? Well, how do you fight against that?
Because there was
it's just such a great tool to have for him.
Yeah.
I mean, the bike is faster. Like, the hard rod power is a bit better, but because of his body and the fact that he's very light, when you combine it together, it's such a weapon that for the race. You can look after your tires better. You can overtake without taking too many risks. It's a huge tool to have. So I don't know. I think for sure he's gonna get competition, but his package too strong.
Yeah.
Have you ever raced against Toprak?
No. He got in World Superbike when I left.
Right. I didn't know if Suzuki. I didn't know if there'd been any crossover. In Suzuki.
Yeah, he did practice in Suzuka, but he didn't do the race. That was when he was at Kawasaki.
Yes.
And then that's what
that was
basically
part of the reason for why I went to Yamaha, wasn't it? Yeah, because that pissed him off, that decision. Yeah.
Who would you like to see from the Worlds paddock or even the BSB paddock go on to a MotoGP bike, a competitive GP bike?
That's a good question. It's very, very hard to make that transition, like to go from a superbike like background onto a GP bike. It's not easy at all, and it will be very hard right now with the way the bikes are ridden and the riding style that you need to adapt. It'll be very hard for anybody.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, there's obviously the talk with Toprak,
But
that's obviously hugely talented. And for me personally, I mean, there's lots of people think put him on a GP bike and he'll be amazing. For me, his riding style would be a problem.
Too loose, too brake heavy, or
yeah,
because he's known for his braking, and he's just on the nose pitch, back wheel off the ground.
He stops the bike a lot with the front end of the bike, and in MotoGP you can't do that.
Right.
It's the other way around, and you need to be. It's a weird braking technique. So I mean, he will need to adapt. Obviously, they're different bikes.
Oh, aye.
And he's very talented, but I think it will be very, very difficult.
He's almost been too long on a production bike, hasn't he? A little bit like Ben Spies was, long time on a production bike.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Spies was good on a MotoGP bike, wasn't he? But
yeah, but these guys,
do you know what I mean?
These guys, the riding style that they have, the way they use their body to make the bike turn, and the riding technique that they have is different to a superbike technique, and it's hard to adapt. And if you look historically, it's been hard. The one that arguably performed the best was I don't know, maybe Carl. I mean, Carl, and he's still relevant now. He's still real quick. I mean, Carl was real fast this year when he came back, but it took him a long time. Initially when he got at Tech Free, it was difficult for him, it took him many years. I feel like it would be a struggle for anybody. Right now, there's nobody that I could see there thinking, I can see you on a GP bike performing, really fast.
You're probably the most qualified to make that as well.
I totally agree with that.
Do you know what I mean?
Being in your job.
Yeah, you've been in both camps and ridden.
It's my opinion on that. I mean, on that question, I'd be very pessimistic. And if I was a MotoGP team manager, I wouldn't be looking at superbike riders.
You'd be looking at
and they don't. They don't, do they?
No.
No. Where are they looking then?
Well, they look in Moto 2.
Moto 2?
Yeah. They look in Moto 3 as well. They try and offer long-term type of letters or agreements or to try and move when they see something special there. But they don't look in production because historically it's never been very successful. The only one that made it work was Carl, really, and recently, And still, I mean, Cali's a excellent rider. He's very good, but he's not won a championship. You know, he's never been a championship contender. He can be very fast on some races and some tracks. His riding style worked really well, but he's never been a championship contender. And I'm not insulting him when I say that, because he's a great mate of mine. And like I said, he's an absolute animal on the GP bike, super fast. But yeah, it's very, very tough. These guys are so good. They're so good.
Not going off topic, because I know we still need your prediction for a BSB, but just on that topic, we talked in a pod that myself and Dom, Josh and Christian did, and we talked about why historically Brits, and I'm asking you this as a 50% Brit now.
Yeah.
Why we don't always, we talked about why we don't produce necessarily the MotoGP riders.
Yeah.
We produce very, very strong World Superbike ride. There was a year that I'd looked on Wikipedia, and I think it was like 2015. You look at the result sheets and it's just Union Jacks.
I know.
Do you know the one I mean?
Yeah.
You just like, because it was Sykesy, Ray,
Haslam,
Lowe's. It was just Brit the whole way through.
Camier,
yeah. So the reason that myself and Christian said, the reason that we feel that is that in the British, we get them on production bikes. They're on production bikes very, very early, whereas over in Spain, Italy, they're on the Moto2 bikes, they're on the Moto3 bikes.
It's a school.
And
the body and the brain just dives in with a certain way of processing information and a certain way of making the best of what you are. You know, it's what it is. It's the way you're like formatted. You know,
think the tracks play a part from the
the tracks
British?
as well. There's not. I mean, you got Silverstone here that is very GP track.
Yeah.
You've got Donington that is not really GP. It's not really GP track. When you
that
look,
undulation and the
when you look at the other, it's still rough Donington. As a track, it's a great motorbike track, but it's and it's iconic. But it's a rough track, and it feels narrow. And on a superbike, you know, everything is in your face. You use 4 gear.
Yeah,
4 gears. You know, it's not a big track where you need to be smooth it's the school basically. The school for superbikes is very good in England, but maybe not so for the like GP productions, and we see that with Jake Dixon now. But he needed.
He's done a lot of work, and he's had to.
He needed a lot of years to get there, even though the potential to start with. Was very good.
Yeah.
You know, Jack has always been fast, but to adapt to a category, to adapt to a different way of riding, it takes a long time to dial it all in and feel comfortable with it.
Do you think even if we did have a Moto2 class, it still maybe wouldn't produce the Grand Prix races that they're able to produce in Spain? Because then the next downfall is the tracks. Even if you put them on a Moto2 bike round,
possibly
Donington, Alton,
but it would be an improvement, because at least the guys would be like
they'd be dialed into the bike and the chassis.
They would
and
actually,
the characteristics.
They would get a feel, and for the tires as well. And the chassis, and they would get a feel, so it'd be better. But the tracks in England are different. They are. In essence, most of them are it's a different speed, and this works both ways. You know, if you get like you got guys coming from World Superbike or from GPs or whatever, and you land on the English tracks and championships, it's very hard to adapt the other way around. And it takes time. So it's a lot with what you learn and how you get built into, you know, a category, and the way the GP bikes are ridden now, the MotoGP bikes, they're basically big Moto2 bikes,
right?
With more feel, so they and more inertia. So you feel there's a lot more speed into them, but they give more. So you're like,
and that characteristic of how they stop and turn and you can square them off is very similar between the two bikes. Just obviously, like you say, the weight and the speed is there. Yeah,
so that's why they adapt really quite fast.
Right.
I mean, most of the guys, they do their first. The good Moto2 guys, they get an opportunity for MotoGP after a day.
They're thereabouts.
They're kind of like, you know, they're not far off.
Yeah.
So
it's always interesting to get that opinion from the people that have been there and done that with the two categories. Like I say, I don't know many other people that can say that they've been at the front with a production bike and a Grand Prix bike. So you've got that transferable knowledge between the two. So it's just interesting to
they're very different.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at them, it doesn't you can't tell how it feels when you watch it, because it's hard to get that feel. But it's very different. The Superbike school is completely different.
Would you say that it's an easier transition to come from Grand Prix to a World Superbike?
100%. Yes.
So they would do that transition quite easily.
Much easier. Yeah. You take any of those guys and put them on a competitive Superbikes, and they're going to be good straight away. And historically, we've seen that as well. You take anybody there.
Scott Redding.
Yeah, Scott Redding. Scott actually did very, very well when he came to BSB.
100%.
Oh yeah,
that was really surprising.
Amazing. Yeah,
I mean, I was surprised at that. I was thinking when he did that,
because he's done very little. I raced.
I know it was all Spain, wasn't
mini motos with him, and he was used to have a Monster Mob truck when Paul Bird was Monster Mob Ducati.
Yeah.
So I was maybe 10 or 11. Scott would have been 7 or 8 at this stage. Tiny wee thing he was, really little, and straight away into Spain. Nobody saw him again.
He didn't know the tracks.
And that was, so for him to come back, it was the whole electronics thing.
Injured.
And injured.
Silverstone smashed his leg, didn't he, without telling anyone. So.
And I mean, what played in his favour was that his riding style, because he carries that corner speed naturally. He always has.
That's the 125.
Even when he was in 125, I remember him I think it was in Qatar, the opening, his first race, and he was impressive, with the corner speed and the way, and he still has that style.
Yeah.
Less, but still it's there.
Yeah.
His natural instinct is there, and that kind of worked with the BSB, and he was very competitive. But that was surprisingly good. I thought he was going to struggle a lot more.
Yeah,
he did really well that year, really well, and well deserved to bounce back to World Superbike 100%. Yeah, that was good.
That leads us on to BSB.
I was about to say, to get it asked there, Joe.
Who do you have down for BSB champion for 2023?
BSB, I don't know. I would have said Taron, but he's gone now.
I
don't know. I'd like to see Jason or Lauren win some more.
He sort of deserves to get one, doesn't he? Because you just sit there and
come on. He deserves it. He has the speed and everything, and he seems like some. I mean, most of the time, it's like pure bad luck.
It's bad luck
on the last round.
Yeah. And he got. I'd like to see him win something, because he's been here for ages now.
Yeah. I remember when he was racing that SMT Honda. Back in 2008 or something.
He rode the Honda for quite a few years, didn't he?
But when it was that privateer, and you just
that first
thought, one, the sacrifice to pack up everything from home to move to the other side of the world, all in the pursuit of motorbikes. And if you'd have said to him then, where do you think you're going to be in 10 years' time? Well, you'll have nearly won 2, but you won't have won them.
I think he deserved. He does. You can never say the guy that wins deserves. It's just what it is. The guy that wins it at the end of the day deserved it, because he was the best and scored the most points. But on a sporting point of view, the way he's built his campaign and how many years he's been there and how many years he's been competitive, losing out sometime for not reasons, no faults of his own. I'd like to see him winning. Yeah.
Do you follow the BSB?
Yeah, I follow BSB. Yeah.
Who's your outside bet then?
Well, he's my outside bet, because he's been here ages and he never won it. So he's an outside bet.
Yeah.
But
he's not going in as a champion, is he?
No.
I love it.
He'll do it. He's going to do it this year. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, it worked. Send him a text. It worked for Brad.
Yeah, it worked for Brad last year.
Get him a text fired over.
Yeah, and I hope Brad will do well in World Superbike. But I think it's going to be tough.
I think both him and Taron will do well. I think it's just going to be, and they know that. Again, we touched on this before. They're not going into that.
On the other hand, when are you going? You just need to make the jump sometime.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not going to be on the best bikes, but maybe they're going to be able to prove that to people in the know that they are worth it, which they are.
Yeah, definitely.
If I was a team manager in World Superbike, I would definitely be looking at them, both of them, for sure.
Well, especially where they're coming from as well. They've proved themselves over here, haven't they? Which in itself is, as we've said before, this championship is hard. So for them to be where they were in this championship, that brings merit in itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're good riders. They got a right attitude. They've got everything going for them. They just need a bit of luck at the right time, and you do need that sometimes.
Yeah.
We're talking about Jason or Aaron, but everybody that's won a championship, or you need to have a bit of luck, or not get unlucky. You need to all of it get together and get the right ride at the right time that goes well with you in the right team, and you need to make it click. And that is a little bit of luck as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can get that. They can shine, like show some, moments of brilliance, which they are able to deliver, in my opinion, and move on to some better, stronger teams, or build their own, or build the team they're within now. Yeah.
There we go. So one of my final question before closing the show is, on or off the track, what are you most looking forward to in 2023 then?
On and off the track.
On or off the track, what are you most looking forward to this year?
Le Mans 24 hours. I want to win it because if you win it, so we won it the last 2 years, and if you win it 3 times in a row, like when you win it, normally they give you the trophy. It's only about that big. It's really disappointing.
It's not one of them like plastic pot.
No,
shit
well, like
ones,
the
is it?
Ashes.
It's not bad, but it's like a mini version of it, and
Right.
they give it to you. They give it to all the riders and a team and that. But there's a big, the big one that we get on the
Yeah,
podium.
yeah, yeah.
You don't get that one. That one is like.
They don't even give you a
So you have
replica
to do the hat trick to get
So
that.
if you do 3 in a row, you can ask them, and they have to. It's in the rules somewhere. They have to give you the big fucking thing, and I want that.
So what happens if all 3 of you say we want the big bastard?
Yeah,
they have to go
They
away
have to
and
make
get 3.
replicas. They have to make the replicas. They have to do it. They have this one main one with all the names on and all that.
Yeah.
So that's the big one, and he's so heavy, that one. But I want.
You want to say to him, I want the heavy bastard as
I'm
well.
gonna wear it. If we win, I'm wearing it, and I'll wear the replica when they deliver it. But I want that because he's huge, and it means a lot to me because it's such a tough race.
That's the heritage as well, isn't it? That's the,
Yeah, that would be like mega. I'll put it somewhere with my World Championship trophy or something because it means so much. So yeah, that one I'm looking forward to.
There we go. I'll tell you what, I've got one. You'll have to probably answer it really quickly, but Chrissy would be kicking me if I don't ask it. He always used to take the piss. You ever fancy doing the TT?
No.
Straight on air.
No, I have actually fancied doing it because I did a parade lap in 2015.
All right.
Well, it was supposed to be a parade lap, and it all got out of control because we
standard.
we so closed roads.
Who did you do it with?
Milky was guiding us, and there was Johnny Ray and Tom Sykes on standard Kawasaki's,
Yeah.
like road bikes. I was on at that time I rode for Honda, so I was on the SP Fireblade or whatever it was at the time, and then there was Chaz on the Ducati. Chaz Davis, and it was the 4 of us, and they just unleashed us behind Milky. We didn't know the track, didn't do nothing, and then JR been doing some because he lives there, doesn't he? So he knows the place a bit, and he'd been doing a bit of studying because he was definitely on it, and he also slipped a word to Milky saying, look, as long as he was on the road bike, Milky, and he was giving us when there's hairpins and stuff, he was giving us a bit of a flashing at the back, so we know that we are gonna have to stop very soon. In within the fast stuff. But JR told him, as long as you see lights behind you, just fucking
Keep pushing on.
Keep pushing, yeah. So we were going, and after 2 miles, we lost Chaz already because once you lose the group, you're knackered. So I thought we're going to do a few wheelies and have a bit of fun, and it wasn't fun at all. It was like proper
Biting the screen.
fell out of control all the way. I think I went straight once. I think it was at signpost corner towards the end.
Oh, Jesus.
You ran on.
Yeah, but it was a road. There was like I ran on because I lost contact a bit, and I thought, "Fuck, I'm not having that." Getting there too late, after them. So, and I completely outbraked myself. And fortunately there was like an escape road. I think it was signpost, but it might have been another one. But anyway, so scary. But it was the best thing I've ever done. So we got to the end, and we had an ice cream then at the end. I remember.
Had a cigarette.
Yeah. That's
A few
it.
shots.
Oh, we needed it. So we got to the end, take the helmets off, and we were just like, what the fuck was this? It was just so good. First time, you see. And the feeling was so good. I thought, wow, this is amazing. You know, like the buzz. You know that buzz that you get. And I thought, I quite like doing that. And then at the same time, I was thinking that, not saying anything. My wife was there, and she just looked at me and she went, "No way, mate." She knew already what I was thinking. She was like, no chance.
Finish your ice cream, we're going.
Yeah, we're going home now. We're going home. I did spend a few months just looking at YouTube videos and learning the track then, and I remember like taking notes. I've still got them somewhere.
He's basically having a dirty affair with YouTube
Yeah.
and Isle of Man.
Oh, God,
Did she find the notes?
Hey?
Has she found the notes?
Whose are these?
In the safe. But yeah, I did do that because it was such a buzz. It doesn't get better than that, does it? Really?
Yeah, it's very, very special. Very,
You
very
you
special
feel
place.
like kind of addicted to it.
Oh,
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
The curse.
Because it's so good.
Well, you can't get it anywhere. That buzz you don't get anywhere. You don't get it on a short circuit.
No.
You don't get it. No, we won't turn it into a TT show, but yeah,
No,
it's nice to hear.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I completely get that
You
because
understand it when
that's
you've
how
been and done
that's
that.
how
It's
it
like,
felt.
oh, okay, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
class,
yeah.
man. Absolutely class. But well, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show.
No, you're welcome. Yeah.
Thank
That
you for,
coffee got me because we've been.
mate. It's been great. It's been.
How long have we? This is a
Fuck.
Considering, honestly, we've tipped up all the way down in Leicester here, and
You know
I
what you need
turned
to
up with
put here? You need to put like a pint machine.
I wouldn't mind doing one
mate.
where we just get more pissed and just see what ends up. We don't have to publish it.
This
at
would
the
be
end, do
better.
But we could
Oh,
just,
no,
this would be
you
even
could
better.
do one just getting wham
You
over.
do
just see.
like a, I don't know.
an after 9
You
version.
could do one of Guinness and one of I don't know.
a lager.
Lager.
and
you
then
Guinness
spirits
Then
in
you
the
get a
middle.
choice, or you can swap. You
We
can have a
could
bit of
put
everything.
Whiskey up there and vodka. And
I don't know, because if you start doing shots, then you can't. You start losing speech and stuff. Yeah. But a few pints as you talk, that'd be quite good.
That is definitely food for the future. That is definitely on the cards. 100%. But no, yet again, honestly, thank you for letting us tip up, because I turned up with that van and you must have come around the corner after you're dropping your kids off at school and gone, who the are these two? You know
I
what I mean?
actually think that's a great idea. This is brilliant.
Well, this is all like Chrissy Rouse's idea. So
That was a
him
good-
and his
a good
dad,
idea,
and we'll continue in his name. But honestly, you'd be over the moon that you've been on the show, and you've been absolutely class crack. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Pleasure
much.
was for me.
And obviously, just to tidy a few things up, obviously, thank you to all our patrons. And I do apologise for not being able to access your questions. There would have been a million, but we always tend to answer the questions naturally through the conversation anyway. But my apologies to you lot anyway. Global Moto, without a doubt, we wouldn't be there here without them. And also, one note from the Bennett's team, they're having a go-karting competition, and I'm glad you're not going, but there is a huge, because obviously you can race a car, and what you did to that poor Suzuki Swift around Brands, I am over the bloody moon. You're not doing it. But they have got a Grand Prix set up, and they've got like Tom Neve, Lee Jackson, they've got Storm Stacey, Lee Johnson, they've got McGuinness, they've got loads of people, but that only comes from being like Bennett's customer. So if you insure through them, you get access to the competitions, and then
What
you
could
get
go wrong in this with all those riders?
nothing.
Yeah, nothing at all. Bear in mind, there's customers going along as well, so there's going to be a whiplash claim.
Carnage.
For an insurance company, that's a hell of a move from Bennett. So that is a
Brave.
hell of a move.
Brave.
Very brave and very ambitious. I love it. But yet again, Joe, thank you so much. And Sylvain, been absolutely cracking. And thank you so much yet again, mate.
Chasin the Racin. Powered by the Global Moto Group, we supply new Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, Vespa, Royal Enfield, Kawasaki, Sim, Mutt and Benelli motorcycles.